Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of international rugby. This one at Murrayfield, Scotland versus New Zealand. The Scottish, they have never beaten the All Blacks, but they have got a pretty strong look inside here. The New Zealanders getting themselves the winner over Ireland last week, wanting to continue that momentum. This game just that 30 minutes away from starting up for this contest. But looking through at the two starting lineups for this match. First of all, for Scotland, it is Pierre Schoolman in the front row alongside the explosive Ewan Ashman at 2. Darcy Ray starting at 3. Ewan Ashman just got some pure pace in that front row. Anytime he gets that little bit of space to be able to accelerate, it's normally when we see him at his most dangerous, and the lineouts will be such a crucial part of this game for the Scottish as well, which is where Scott Cummings and Grant Gilchrist, two locks, come into it for the Scottish pack. In terms of the loose forwards, it is Gregor Brown, Matt Fagerson, and Jack Dempsey. No Rory Darge in the starting lineup. Instead, he will be making his way off of the bench here. Ben White and Finn Russell as that 9 and 10 combination. Russell, he has so much talent and so much unpredictability as well. And I do feel like that is somewhere that New Zealand, they will have to try and shut him down, because if they don't, it's normally when Finn Russell starts to find his rhythm, when he can be extremely dangerous. Sione Tuipulotu alongside Rory Hutchinson in the midfield here for Scotland. Then Kyle Steyn out on one wing, Darcy Graham out on the other, and Blair Kinghorn at number 15. Now, I should mention this Scottish side, they were able to get themselves a pretty hefty win over the USA just last week, so they'll come into this game with confidence, hoping to make it 2 in a row. For the Scots, looking through at New Zealand's starting lineup, they are predominantly just injury changes across their side, with the exception of that number 6 jersey, Ethan de Groot, Cody Taylor, and Fletcher Null, those same front row. As we saw up against Ireland, Josh Lord comes into the starting lineup due to the injury of Scott Barrett. That was the leg laceration, which means he will not be available for this game, and potentially not for the next game for the All Blacks either. Fabian Holland, he slots in as 5. He's been one of the standout players all throughout this year for the Kiwis. He has a great chance of being one of the Breakthrough Player of the Year nominations, and I wouldn't be surprised if we won the whole thing with how well he's been playing throughout this year. Wallace Satiti, he moves in at number 6 rather than Simon Parker, who is being rested for this game. Artie Savia as the 7, and then Peter Larkai slotting in as that number 8. So Savia, he is going to be the captain in this contest. Peter Larkai, he did get himself the start in the 8 jersey for the last fixture, and we'll be hoping to back it up with a great performance here. Cam Roigard and Bowden Barrett, they will be slotting in as that 9 and 10 combo, so the same as what we did see last week for the Kiwis. Quinn Tupaia comes into the number 12 jersey. That is due to the injury of Geordie Barrett, which has actually left him out for all of November. Heading back to New Zealand, Barrett, and Whainā Nuku, he will slot in as that number 13. Caleb Clark out on the left wing, Leroy Carter out on the right, and then Will Jordan slots in as that number 15 option. So those are the starting lineups for the two teams. I do see that we have got already 20 more messages in there as well, so we will be looking through. We have got Nelson predicting a 58 points to 3 win in favour of the All Blacks. I would like to think this game will be a lot closer. The last 3 times that they have played in Scotland, all 3 matches have been separated by less than 10 points, but all 3 going in favour of New Zealand. In that department, this is going to be a cracker. I'm of Scottish descent. I live in the Southern Hemisphere, says Daryl. I'm rooting for the ABs. And also, we have got their roots usually located underground, so ABs to get buried. Says, I am nutty. And also, we have got their Slovakia beating Austria in another game. Yeah, plenty of international rugby matches taking place at the moment around the world. Currently, Samoa, they are leading their game up against the Brazilians, 48 points to 5. So currently with a very hefty 43-point lead. There is also New Zealand 15 going head-to-head with England A, and New Zealand 15 now leading 26 points to 7. So quite a comfortable lead in that department. We have got the Australia scored against England, and the League International says, I am nutty there. And Rico's future, Rico is heading to Leinster just around the corner. From there, we don't know whether or not he is still in Scott Robertson's long-term plan. But I would say that Rico, if he does what Geordie Barrett did, and that is go over to Leinster and start to find more momentum, I'd say he could find himself back into the All Blacks environment. We have got there Wes Duan Whanamurva missing from this game. I'm not sure whether or not that is injury-based or just selection-based, but they have got Kyle Steyn and Darcy Graham as the 2 men out on the wings. The ABs by 15. The boys will weather the initial Scottish onslaught and then bring the hammer down. Let's go, boys, says Clayton. A long day at the office for you today. Hamish says Suckable. It certainly is. We are on to the second live stream of the day. We just finished that Japan versus Ireland matchup. I will also mention, seeing as we are still before the match and it's nice and easy to have time to say it, I am currently sick. I've got myself a cold, so there will be times throughout this live stream where I more than likely have to mute just to either sneeze or to blow my nose, but luckily it's blocked at the moment, so hopefully that's the way that it stays a little bit longer into the stream. Let's hope there are less injuries in this game, says Stephanie. Yeah, losing 2 Barretts in the last game for the Kiwis, as well as Simon Parker, not out with an injury, but just the other switch in terms of the starting lineup. But yeah, it will be intriguing. Both of these sides, they will play a relatively physical game, I would think, which is where injuries can happen. ABs usually beat Ireland by more in the afternoon test, says Marcus. I want to say that with the Scots having the momentum behind them, they could upset them, but I'm pretty sure it'll be an AB's win, says David. And also we've got there, what's the bench for Scotland? We are just about going on to the benches in the near future. I think Rico has a point to prove. He absolutely does. He has missed out on the selection for this matchup. Your A side is pulling away from the England A side. Go the All Blacks. Get the double today, says Joss. And sorry, IH says Heather. Welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. 4 internationals kicking off at the same time. Good luck keeping up, says I am nutty. Yeah, it's an absolutely hectic time in the world of international rugby at the moment. But looking through at the benches for these two sides. For Scotland, they have got George Turner in the front row alongside Rory Sutherland and Miller Mills slotting in as that number 18. Sykes and Darge alongside Bayliss. So actually the 6-2 split here for Scotland. And once again, just like in the preview, I will mention, I believe that's to try and close out the match better for Scotland here, because we do know how strong the All Blacks finished that game up against Ireland, and it was a little bit of unfamiliar territory for the Kiwis, seeing as normally they have been struggling throughout the later stages of their contest. But in this case, up against Ireland last week, they were actually able to really kind of speed up and start to score those points. But Dobie and Tom Jordan, they'll be the back replacements for New Zealand. They've got Samasoni, Taukiaho, Tamaiti Williams, and Pasilio Tossi. So actually the same 3 who were in the front row for them last week off of the bench. They did bring a real impact. So I'm glad to see that they are keeping those 3 together, as that may be the difference maker later on in the game. Sam Derry, he comes in as the 19 due to that injury, and also the inclusion of Josh Lord in the starting side. Duplessis Karefi. This is an interesting choice for me, mainly because he does play 7. So straight away you're either moving Savia to number 8, or you are taking Savia off, and he's the captain in this game. So I think it's going to be the first one. Maybe Peter Larkai has to make way later on in the contest. And also Cortez Ratama, Billy Proctor, and the impact man himself, Damien McKenzie, been very handy off the bench, playing that support role to Beauden Barrett throughout this year. We have got there as a South African with Scottish heritage. I'm rooting for our rivalry brothers. Come on, let's show the North how hot the Southern crucible burns. And Zimbabwe in the World Cup, says Muku. They certainly are in their World Cup qualification tournament taking place at the moment. Namibia going ahead here with Belgium in the very near future. We will be trying our best to keep you updated with all the international games that are taking place today. Come on, Scotland, says Haino there. And come on, Scotland, says Connor. And hopefully, or hope for a Scottish upset. But won't be upset if the All Blacks win, says Jan there. Or OEH, says Wampia Bosch. Welcome in. And come on, Kiwi, says Marvin. Has Ireland played against Japan? They have managed to get themselves the victory in that game, 41 points to 10. It was relatively close at halftime, 17-10, and then Ireland running away with it at the end with the impact off the bench of Sam Prendergast, as well as the 2 McCarthys, being able to kind of change that momentum a little bit in their favour. And I'm hoping the same, says Darryl. I will mention there are also 2 more games taking place later on tonight, though, and they are going to be very intriguing ones because of the overlap. It's going to be Australia versus Italy in one of the 2 matches, and then Fiji versus England in the other. So the fact that those 2 games are taking place at the same time seems a little bit unfortunate in terms of their international schedule. But speaking of the amount of games, this is what is happening next week, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the writing is very small, and that is because of all the matches that are taking place on Friday morning New Zealand time. That Samoa versus Namibia game, for me, that is to determine who will qualify for the Australian Rugby World Cup in 2027. Georgia play the Canadians after having a good win over the USA just before. We do see Romania actually play Canada just a little bit later on. Italy versus South Africa as the early game. Portugal play Hong Kong. The Kiwis have England at Twickenham. England A also playing at that same time up against Spain. Wales and Japan. Ireland, Australia, France, Fiji, and then also Uruguay versus New Zealand 15, and Scotland versus Argentina, all taking place in the near future as well. These are the results from last week as well. For anyone curious about what just took place, I am about to sneeze, so we will quickly mute. There we go, we are good, but some one-sided games and some slightly closer games. I think Munster versus Argentina 15 was actually the pick of the matches, as well as that Barbarians New Zealand 15 game for the quick-fire start from the Barbars to then have New Zealand 15 manage to fire their way back into it. But yeah, still plenty more international matches taking place throughout November before we get into that Rugby World Cup draw, which is just around the corner as well. Looking at Scotland and what they were able to do in the Six Nations, they finished in 4th. 11 points on the board. They were able to get themselves the 2 wins with the 3 losses and that points differential of -16 looking through. They were able to get themselves the win over Italy in the first round, 31 points to 19. Ireland, they were able to beat the Scottish at Murrayfield, 32 points to 18. A very close game up against the English. A lot would argue that they should have won that game, but losing it by the 1 point. Then the loss to, the win up against the Welsh, 6-point victory in favour of Scotland, and then that little bit more of a one-sided game close out the Six Nations campaign. They have also played more recently than the Six Nations, playing up against the Māori All Blacks and managing to pull off the victory, 29 points to 26, beaten by Fiji, but beating Samoa in their most recent fixture alongside that game there. USA, 85-0 in favour of the Scottish. As you can see, they come in as underdogs for this matchup. They still have Argentina and Tonga for their future matches, but a pretty hectic year for the Scottish overall, and a dangerous enough side that if they can get their momentum going, they could be very competitive in this matchup for New Zealand. We have also got what they were able to do for this year. They were able to get themselves the 2nd place in the Rugby Championship, their points differential, the thing hurting them in the end, needing an extra about 60 points. Or 50 points, to be able to get ahead of the South Africans throughout that Rugby Championship comp. They did win up against Argentina to then lose to them in the second round. They were able to beat South Africa at Eden Park to then lose to the South Africans in Wellington, and then 2 wins for the Bledisloe Cup, so going back to New Zealand for yet again another year. Australia not quite as competitive in those contests as a lot of people would have liked to see. Also, before that stage in July, we saw New Zealand get themselves the wins over France, 3-0 in that series up against a developing French side. A couple of those games very competitive and hard work for New Zealand. And then just recently getting the win over the Irish, and then England and Wales. Those are the 2 next games for New Zealand in November. But we have now got 33 messages that have just come through that I am hopefully going to be able to get through all of them. What channel you watch it on? It is on Sky Sport 1 here in New Zealand. Do you start AB streams a bit earlier than the rest? Or does that just seem that way? We normally start New Zealand and South African streams a little bit earlier just because they are our 2 main audiences. Plus, there's normally quite a bit to talk about. The likes of going through those other internationals. Has Ireland played against Japan? They have. And we're able to get themselves the winner. Are you going to do the league final? We certainly are. So it should be an exciting one between New Zealand and Samoa. 2 sides that are hopefully going to be competitive with each other. It is the final. So Samoa, they've never beaten New Zealand, but perhaps the final could be the best time to be able to do it. No injuries, no red cards or stupid ref decisions. Bring it Scotland. I've waited long enough. Says Soulfire. And also we have got there, maybe Scotland will give the All Blacks a run for their money. I certainly hope so. I think that the Scottish side, like I've mentioned, it is strong enough to be competitive in this contest, which is why, with, fingers crossed, this game's going to be separated by 7 or less. Would be fantastic. When is the Rugby World Cup? It has taken place in 2027, I believe in September is when the first match is taking place. But once we know that Rugby World Cup draw, in terms of who is in each group, I believe the fixtures will then be announced not too long afterwards. That's when tickets will all go on sale, everything along those lines. Box under 19, losing against France under 19s, 17-7 in France. Box had 3 easy kicks at the post and did not take it. 15 minutes left, says Eric there. And why was the provincial URC team like Munster playing a national side like Argentina? So it wasn't Argentina's international team, it was Argentina 15. Similar to what we've seen how England have been playing up against New Zealand 15. So it is not Argentina as in the international side, but more so their developmental team. Same team that faced the Bristol Bears and just about 24 hours ago, or actually a little bit less than that, At this stage, my prediction 25-13 in favour of New Zealand for Rugby Itch there. And yep, same old, says Soulfire. So a day like any other, says Yanko, and a bit murky with light rain here in Scotland. And I'm picking 35-10 in favour of the All Blacks. When does France play? They are going to be playing later on tonight up against South Africa. And that one kicking off in around 5 hours, 15 minutes time. When that one is going to be starting up. And hey, Hamish, so sorry, it's been a while. And good to be here, says Si. Well, it is greatly appreciated. You're popping in. Of course, we are not too far away from the start of this contest. About 15 minutes away. And you Kiwis up early. I'm chilling with a whiskey here at 3 p.m. Yeah, it's a nice early morning start for us New Zealanders in this contest. We did finish that match between Japan and Ireland just around... Well, it did take place just before. Alongside that, there is also the game later on. England going head-to-head up against Fiji. At the same time as Australia are playing up against the Italians. So that will be another one. Keep a close eye on. And then after that, it is South Africa versus France for that contest as well. Maybe Scotland can break a long drought. Scotland last beat ABs in 1940s. Says Bruce there. And I was with their greetings, Ruth. Says Craig. And what's your guys' score prediction for this game, says Brett. I think I went 32-25 in favour of New Zealand. I could see this one being a relatively close game between the teams. I want Scotland to win. Would be good for South Africa. Says Saku there. And Hamish says Dalmain, welcome in. But looking through at also... what one have we got here that we haven't popped up yet? I believe we are going to be looking at these again in terms of the future fixtures. New Zealand, just around the corner. They have got their game up against the English. Now, that is actually 7 days away rather than the 10. But you just get that feeling like this game for New Zealand, it is going to be a perfect test to see where they are at. Like I mentioned, we did see Scotland and England play off just the 1 point difference between those two sides for the Kolkata Cup. 16 points to 15 in that matchup, but just feel like that game at Twickenham, this is a great prelude to this match. They have to make sure that they keep that momentum rolling, New Zealand, seeing as they were able to get the win over the Irish just last week. Then they have got the Welsh in the last round of the November International, so it is the 4 wins that New Zealand are chasing, the Grand Slam Tour, as they have called it. So for that to be reality, they do need to win every single one of their games. For Scotland, they have got Argentina next week. That honestly is potential to be a match of the round. Those two sides could be extremely competitive for that match. And then also up against the Tongans. They have played Fiji, Samoa, and the Māori All Blacks already this year. And now Tonga, adding them to their repertoire for it as well. 13 degrees Celsius temperature for this game at Murrayfield. So not sitting too badly at all. Scotland be flying after last week, says Katie. They certainly will be. They managed to get themselves a massive victory over the USA, 85-0 in that contest, so they will feel confident. But the question is, if this game doesn't quite go in that same fashion, because we've got to remember, Scotland from the get-go looked like winning that game very comfortably. So if they were to struggle early in this match up against New Zealand, would that really hurt the confidence of the Scottish side, or would they be able to get through it and find their way into the contest? The starting lineups for these two sides I did see was requested, so we will be going through them once again. Scotland, they've got Piers Scorman alongside Ewan Ashman and Darcy Ray as that front row. Scott Cummins and also Grant Gilchrist, they will be the locking duo for this contest. Gregor Brown, Matt Fagerson and Jack Dempsey slots in as their number 8. They have got the impact of Daj to make his way off of the bench. So I feel like Scotland, they have plenty of great loose forward options at the moment. One moment, I am just about to sneeze. We are good to go. Now, looking through at the back line, Ben White and Finn Russell, they will be that 9 and 10 combination. Sione Tuipulotu and Rory Hutchinson make up the midfield with Kyle Steyn, Darcy Graham, and also Blair Kinghorn as that number 15 option. Looking through at New Zealand, Ethan de Groot, Cody Taylor, and Fletcher Knowles. So sticking with the same front row as we did see in the last match up against Ireland. Josh Lord and Fabian Holland, they will be the locking duo. That is in the absence of Scott Barrett, who will not be playing in this matchup. Wallace Satiti moves into the 6th jersey rather than Simon Parker. Artie Savia slots in at 7, and Peter Larkai again gets to keep his spot as the number 8. I think Lester Whaiananuku's mullet gets longer and longer each and every week at the moment, looking like one from the NRL, such as a Tino Fa'asuamala-awi, that type of mullet at the moment for that man. Cam Roygaard alongside Bowden Barrett as that 9 and 10 combination. Barrett getting the start. He did take a couple really brutal knocks in last week's game, but looks like he's going to be all good to go in that 10 jersey. I will mention the All Blacks wearing white for this game by the looks of it as well. I'm not sure what their record is in wearing the white kit, but I don't think it's anywhere near as strong as wearing the black one. Quintupai and Leicester Whainānuku, these two men in the midfield, they are dangerous, they are powerful, and they will certainly be wanting to make a statement with the absence of Geordie Barrett. Caleb Clark out on the left wing, Leroy Carter out on the right, and Will Jordan slots in as that number 15. I hope the ABs get it right and seal the game early. And afternoon, Hamish, if Scotland played against other teams, like they play against England, they would have beaten all the Southern Hemisphere sides. They're a nightmare playing us, says Ron. And good morning, Hamish and team, says Sana there. Welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. And Scotland be flying after last week. And let's go the All Blacks, says Redo there. I love the Scots to dent the Kiwis' roll. Can smell 15 plus to the New Zealanders, says Lance for his prediction. Of course, anyone who hasn't already, be sure to put those predictions in. Mate just did a line off screen. Sadly not. It is just because my nose is trying to run and I keep on sneezing throughout these live streams. We have got a cold at the moment, so that's not ideal. What is Mr. Kiwi Sir's prediction? I went 32-25 in favour of New Zealand. I think that this one could be relatively close between the two teams. I do feel like Scotland are a better side than some are giving them credit for. Definitely with the fact that this game is at Murrayfield. I feel like that's the type of matchup that could just take them to the next level. And we can hear the bagpipes at the moment. I'm going to get to hear Flower Scotland just around the corner, and then the Haka, and then we're into the match. And 32-16 win for the All Blacks. And this AB's kit makes them look like Fiji, says Yanko, and 42-21 as the prediction there from Sako. Now, I will mention there are other matches of international rugby taking place at the moment. Portugal and Uruguay have just kicked off, as well as Romania versus Canada. We'll try and keep you updated for those games, but currently the All Blacks 15 about to pull off the victory over England A, around 31 points to 14. And I will also mention that Samoa and Brazil are sitting 48-10 as their scoreline at the moment. So 38 points separating them. They are in the second half at 80 minutes. So just about to come to a close in that regard as well. But we're almost ready to go. Morning, says Broderick. Welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. The New Zealand national anthem just now is about to be sung. Will we beat England next Sunday? I think that New Zealand, they won't want to look too far into the future. First, they have to work out if they can beat Scotland at Murrayfield. I want to say come on Scotland, but I also don't want to upset Hamish, says Bruce. I think it takes quite a bit to upset myself. A lot more than supporting Scotland in this game. I have probably upset a few Kiwis by saying I want to see Scotland do well in this match. I think the Springboks will win despite not playing in this match. Sako there. And going to go tune into the coverage on TV. Enjoy the game all. And Scotland are playing in 100 anniversary rugby top. All Blacks all white. It's a sign and enjoy, says Soulfire there. So yeah, we might see at halftime or after the match Scotland to get absolutely tonked today, says Powerbite 92. Although the last 3 times that these two sides have played at Murrayfield, every single game has been separated by less than 10. So it just makes me wonder whether or not in this scenario we will see it perhaps be the same case. Flower of Scotland, such a beautiful anthem. Hi lads, says Airbus, welcome in. We are hearing the New Zealand national anthem as well, being played by a whole orchestra by the sounds of it. A whole band getting involved in this one. Yeah, in fact, they've got about 50 people playing it. I really like Scotland, but their peak level is URC, says Eric there. Why don't you give a solo during the national anthem, Hamish, says Yanko. I think your ears would probably bleed if I was to do that. Scotland are about to play a proper team, not first year 15 or first year USA college students, says Kotso. And we have got there, come on the Scots, says Rock. And then All Blacks on top always, says Donovan. Of course, anyone who hasn't already, be sure to let me know who you think will score the first try in this contest in terms of the player. That was a lovely rendition of the New Zealand national anthem, though. The orchestra band have done extremely well there. This could be a draw, says Airbus, and only one Barrett today, rear, says Sakabula. Yeah, both other Barretts injured at the moment. Scott Barrett with the leg laceration. Bowden Barrett, here's the lone Barrett still standing as Geordie has gone back to New Zealand as well. I like New Zealand 1-12, says Ryan. Now, what's the most beautiful anthem in international rugby? For me, it's the Italians, says Saku. Honestly, there's about 3 or 4, I think, that are right up the top of the list. The referee to score the first try says, I am not mental. And can I watch for free? Depending on where you are in the world will depend on your options for being able to watch. Going to be a tight one, I predict, says Guess Who. And Remembrance Sunday tomorrow against the Armed Forces Band, says Jace there. And Scotland also have their special anniversary kit as well for the fact that they have been playing international rugby for 100 years, I believe it is. Or at least under this union, I think. But Flower of Scotland, always awesome to listen to it. And the crowd, they are just continuing the anthem after the bagpipes have stopped. What we will quickly do is go like this. And like that as well. We have got our try scorers all ready to go down the bottom. See, Scotland's going to be right up there in terms of best national anthems. Definitely this a cappella version at the end. The rugby guy said Scotland will win. Says Glory of God. And no pressure on the Scots. All Blacks are expecting to win. Says Martin and Scotland. Scottish anthem, the best ever. It has now come to a close. Just about to have the Haka. And then we will be underway. I think Artie to score first. Says Stephanie in that prediction. Duar knocking back Castle Lagers and holding back Tears. Says Powerbite 92. Did he actually end up injured or anything? Powerbite? Because I know that he is missing from this game. They've gone with Kyle Steyn out on one wing. They've gone with Darcy Graham out on the other. But it is a little bit of a surprise not to see Duar Whanamura if he was match ready. With this gameplay here, sadly not due to licensing any match footage or audio would get us taken straight off YouTube with a copyright strike, banned for 3 months and potentially sued by World Rugby, but we will be doing the play-by-play commentary. Also on the World Rugby website, you'll be able to see your best options depending on where you are in the world, depending on the broadcaster that you do want to use. And come on, the AB says Hanger Rat, Romania score. Says I am nutty there, times have changed. I remember when Scotland would have been absolutely written off here. Says Juice, and I do still think a few people are writing off the Scottish, which they shouldn't be. In this scenario, I actually think this game is going to be a little bit closer than many have anticipated, which is why it's going to be so thoroughly entertaining. But the Haka about to take place, and I'm about to sneeze, so I will very quickly mute, ladies and gentlemen. We are good. I will mention, I think that the cold's slowly disappearing. Not really. I feel like I'm going to jinx that now, but we've already been able to go a lot longer than we had on the last live stream without any sort of sneezes or anything. We have got the hi Hamish. I think Scotland will be will upset the All Blacks, says Farouk there. And Duan got dropped. I'm writing Scotland off, says Powerbite 92. I mean, during the USA game, people were speculating Scotland would go into triple digits. That's going to count for something, says Yanko. And Poland versus Denmark also playing now. Says I am nutty, so plenty of international matches taking place at this current point of time. The Haka just taking place for New Zealand before we do get underway in this matchup. And the Kiwis, they are looking fired up. And we have got their Kamati or Pungo. It is Kamati for Murrayfield today. And Scotland ranked 8th, says Brett. And yeah, more than capable of causing an upset here. The Scottish, and they will know that in this scenario, if they are able to get themselves the win here, they get a massive boost on the world rankings, putting them towards that top 6 for that Rugby World Cup draw. Artie Savia, he has just done the throat slit with the thumb. Well, he got told off for doing that in Super Rugby a little while ago, although that was outside of the Haka. He was just threatening a bloke. And All Blacks in white, Duan will think England and kill. Although Duan not playing in this matchup. Instead, out on the wings, they've got Kyle Steyn and Darcy Graham. And then off the bench, it is going to be Tom Jordan. So no sign of Duan for this match. And Leroy is so awesome, says Michael there. And Scotland has plenty of try scorers. Duan isn't the be-all and end-all. Absolutely right. Darcy Graham has been one of the standout players for the Scottish side. And one of the most unlucky as well in terms of injuries that he's picked up throughout the last couple of years. They've got that loose forward trio of Brown, Ferguson and Dempsey. Those three can get the job done when it comes to those turnovers. In the breakdown, I can't imagine a close match. Scotland will either win or ABs will kill them. Says Saku there. All Blacks will thrash them. All Blacks by 30. Says after morning, Amish, and everyone says Studs Race. Welcome in. I hope you're doing extremely well. Hope you are excited for this contest. They are just showing the last running through of the players in the back lines for both of these sides. Have everybody play in black all the time. Again, it's going to be very high quality and very confusing. Says Juice there. But yeah, the All Blacks in the white kit for this matchup. Doesn't look like there's been any late changes for either of these sides, which is fantastic news, I was trying to say. I don't think the All Blacks will take this game lightly. Too many records broken in this team. And Scotland has plenty of try scorers. Where? Says Mo, I mean, they scored 85 points last week. Looking through at this side, you'd have to argue that Finn Russell, he has got the ability to set up anyone in this backline and even sneak through and score for himself. Blair Kinghorn, he's had a phenomenal season in the top 14. I'm about to sneeze again, one moment, just before kickoff. Oh no, now I'm... We are good, hopefully. Anyone who doesn't know, I've got a cold at the moment, which is very unfortunate when you try to do 4 matches of international rugby back to back to back, but we're going to be powering through. New Zealand, they are kicking off now, and we're ready to go at Murrayfield for this match. What's the weather like? 13 degrees Celsius. Referee is Nick Berry, and it is claimed by Scotland inside of their 22. Ben White getting ready to roll this one back. And we have got there... also, who is the centre pairing for the All Blacks in this game? It is Quintupai and Lester Whainarnuku as Scotland kick that ball into touch. Well, Jordan decides against the quick throw option. Will now be the line out. That is somewhere that New Zealand, even though they were having a few struggles last week, the line out, I'd say, was one of their biggest ones. Best wishes and play well, ABs. Bring home the bacon, guys. And bless you, buddy, says Mike. And there as well. And get well soon, says Airbus. Yeah, we've still got plenty more live streams all throughout the weekend. But we're going to be, hopefully, powering through them. Cam Roigard going off to the left, or in fact, no, sorry, the right-hand side. Nice step from Leroy Carter. Goes to Satiti. Now finds Taylor in the wide channel for New Zealand. Some 35 metres out from Scotland's line. Bowden Barrett back across Fabian Holland. Goes to Will Jordan. Tried to pass it to Peter Larkai, who has knocked it on. And it's going to mean that the Scottish got the ball inside of their 22. Kyle Stain stepping to the outside. Great low tackle made by Cody Taylor. And Roigard for the first try, says Barry P. And double lens sip and shot of whiskey will fix you cold, says Sonny. You've had a fair few lem sips over the last about 24 hours, as well as a couple deflams too. Now Ben White rolling this one back. This one's going to be kicked towards the sideline for Ben White. No George Horn, no Ali Price in this match for the Scottish. Two guys that you would normally see on a team sheet relatively early. Big fem from Caleb Clark, moving up to the halfway line. Tackle by Hutchison. Getting over the ball was Graham. Charge down of the Roigard kick from Scotland. Putting New Zealand under pressure before Quintupai wrestled down 42 out from his line. Now Barrett back across to Cody Taylor. It should be a one-sided game in favour of the All Blacks. Says Boris there, Scotland's defence is good. It is normally very solid. It's the same as what we would see for the Glasgow Warriors. Nice step from Caleb Clark. Going to Cody Taylor for another carry. That man's already had about 5 throughout the early stages of this contest. We are 2 minutes in. Game still sitting as the nil. Bowden Barrett goes across to Fabian Holland. Tackled round the halfway line. Roigard, pick and go there. Josh Lord straight through a gap. He's got the option with him. Going himself. Goes to Cam Roigard. And Cam Roigard will score within the 3 minutes. I think the scoreboard was a little bit fast there, which it isn't normally, so it's done very well. But Cam Roigard, 3 minutes in, sniping run from Josh Lord. He's continuing his form from last week. And yes, says Sakabula, they want to run it. And Roigard scores their side to them. First try Cam, says DG. But yeah, it's a great run from Josh Lord, luring in both defenders. And then Roigard with the support, ready to go for it, and caught Scotland looking the wrong way. Scottish, and I think it's going to be close, but it's going to be the New Zealand that takes it home. But I think it's going to be a try difference. So he's tracked there. The try being scored by Cam Roigard early on in this match. He has been such an impact player for the Kiwis since returning. 7-0 for Poland, says I am nutty. And also the other matches that I do know of, Romania, they are leading 6-0 over the Canadians. And Uruguay, Portugal are still 0-0 in that match. But a nice easy kick here for Bowden Barrett to start him off in the right direction. It's going to make the score now 7-0 in favour of New Zealand. But I think Lord does deserve a lot of credit there. He saw the gap and decided to pick it up and have a crack. Now, we did actually see a Japanese player in the last game get penalised for doing that. Now, the commentators afterwards said that it was the wrong decision. But Josh Lord, as long as he had that foot behind the ball, was completely fine. He done a great job commentating, thanks heaps, says Nick there. And who's NA, the Scottish scorer, says says Chris, that is not applicable at the moment. But I'd like to think they'd add a couple names in there eventually. And early days yet, says John, absolutely. Only the 4 minutes through this contest. Cam Roigard going off to the right-hand side, finds Fletcher Null. Makes his way up towards that 22-metre line. That's offside. He was in front of the ball. Says Scott, and best move, get points early and lead, so no catch-ups later for the Scot, says Mashihu. Now kick tie from Roigard. This one will go into touch, but not the start to the match that Scotland would have been after. But big opportunity now. Their best attacking chance. I'll switch off the TV commentary over to you, mate. Says Juice there. Now just showing Gregor Townsend as well as Scott Robertson, the two head coaches in this scenario. And you don't say, says Chris B in there as well. Now ready to throw it in for Ewan Ashman. I've mentioned about that man's acceleration multiple times. Does need a little bit of space to be able to work with though. Now Artie Savia making the tackle on Sione Tuipulotu, drops it backwards. Ben White. Now a little pop pass him on. Finn Russell skips on the outside to Darcy Graham. He's lined up by Will Jordan, dragged down 25 metres out from the New Zealand line. Pierce Schoolman. In fact, this time it's Darcy Ray. Right in the middle of the field at the moment for Scotland. Hard carry forward from Gregor Brune. Now across to the right. Finn Russell decides to go with the switch. Kyle Steyn with a big fend on Caleb Clark. 20 metres out from the line for the Scots. They will start to march forward that little bit further. Ben White off to the left. Another quick step coming in from it would have been Matt Fagerson. Very good position on the field though for Scotland after 8 phases. They are yet to let this ball slip past on the outside. Now Darcy Graham having a cut back inwards, trying to dodge the tackle attempt of Josh Lord. Gets him round the bootlaces. Now Gilchrist. 20 metres still out from the line for Scotland, but this attack is still well and truly on. Skip pass from Russell goes to Ashman, but clean out on Whainganuku. Directional switch again from Ben Wright, and a good carry forward from Scott Cummings. Flat ball, and that time it's knocked on. There's the mistake, and it comes from Matt Fagerson. As long as it's in front of the back leg, it's not offside, says I'm nutty, and yeah, Roigard says Barry. And tempo is very high, absolutely both sides trying to push the pace early on in this one. Knock on again, says Hangarat, and Hutchison looks awesome, really dangerous player, says Thuds Rays. And All Blacks to win 45 points to 20 is the Patrick prediction there. Apparently the first 7 minutes of this game has absolutely flown by, and thankfully Roigard scored to make up for the early knock on. Hopefully our ABs will keep handling errors at a minimum in this game, says Sana. Pat Quates, 902 kgs for New Zealand compared to the 908 of the Scottish. Scottish flag. I'm not too techie, although to be fair, the Scottish flag for some reason on YouTube comes through as just a black flag rather than the Scottish one. We've got there, let's go New Zealand from Italy, says Jacopo there. And a lung-busting few minutes, says cited there too. Now ball goes in for Cam Roigard, currently sitting 15 metres out from the line here, the All Blacks, and they get themselves the scrum penalty? No. Okay, Nick Berry has just said that it was actually both sides making the mistake at scrum time, so it is going to be a reset for New Zealand. Looked like it was about to be their penalty. Let's go, boys. And good DAB, says Boderick there, and the All Blacks will win, says Angie. I love that people think Scotland will score more than 10 points. They're playing the ABs, says Quinton. I believe the last 3 times that they've played the All Blacks in Scotland, they have managed to score more than 10 points. If you compare the games with Japan from South Africa and Ireland, would you say South Africa are favourites against the Irish, says Tristan? I think it's very hard to judge because I do also want to give Japan a lot of credit, and I do think that they actually played a lot better up against Ireland than they did up against South Africa. So I would say there's very little that you can actually take from that game heading into the Irish match up against South Africa because it's so different. As long as it's not a white flag. A half-time, says Chris, now going off to the right-hand side. Quinton Pye goes to Will Jordan, trying to show his pace, but another great low tackle made by Hutchinson. Tupai, quick hands, Larkine gets it to Fabian Holland, trying to pierce through the Scottish defence. Roigard uses quickly, goes to Bowden Barrett off to the left. Now in behind Lord, Tupai going to Whainganuku, backing himself, puts the pass on the inside to Leroy Carter. Now Cody Taylor needs that next pass. Couldn't quite free it up though. Roigard, pick and go. This is off to Wallace Aditi. The All Blacks already about 18 metres out from the Scottish line again. Ethan de Groot takes a big collision with Grant Gilchrist. Now, Off to the left-hand side again, Caleb Clark. Now, Leroy Carter, that is one thing that he absolutely loves to do. Even though he's playing out on the wing, he loves to go with a pick and go from that halfback role. 7 phases in for New Zealand, sitting the 20 metres out from the line, about 15 in from the left touch line. Roygaard now looking to go towards that left-hand side with Satiti. Going to push that little bit further forward, and the penalty goes the way of Scotland. Locked over the ball, and that is Gregor Brun getting a crucial turnover for the Scottish side. We have got there, why that's super strange, says Johnny Blaze. I assume that's talking about the Scottish flag. Yeah, I have absolutely no idea why it doesn't come through as the Scottish flag on YouTube. Let's go to the ABs. As I say, South African beat the Scots down, says Brett, and All Blacks, says Maverick. 10 minutes into this game, and once again, just the tempo that these two sides are trying to set. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it for the 80 minutes. But I certainly look forward to seeing them try to. Currently 10 minutes in though, and it is going to be another line out this time. I believe the first line out for Scotland of this contest. And let's go try AB, says Brett. Ewan Ashman. Ready to throw this ball in. And it's nicely taken by Gregor Brown. It's a very good low chopping tackle from Caleb Clark, managing to roll out of there as well. Ball is available for Ben White. Your feed 20 seconds ahead of here. And Scotland says Solfira. And also should be called the halfbacks, or the half blacks with this kit. Says Sighted, and Whaiananuku is a beast, says Jacopo. Yeah, they've certainly got some power now in their backline for the Kiwis in their midfield combination. We have seen now the knock on. They're just trying to work out exactly who it was, whether it was Will Jordan or Darcy Graham who dropped it. So it has gone forward off Will Jordan, so it will be a scrum feed now for Scotland. 1-0 Rugby Championship next year because of the All Blacks versus Springboks tour. So because of that, they have made it that there's no Rugby Championship, which is a bit of a shame, but also at the same time, I know a lot of people are excited for that New Zealand-South Africa series. 12 minutes into this contest at the moment. Could be mistaken for Fiji with this colour scheme. Says Sighted there. Yeah, it's not too often that we see the All Blacks wearing that white with the black collar. One moment, I am about to sneeze, so I will very quickly mute before this scrum. We are good. Hopefully what happened to Van der Merwe, he was just taken out of the lineup for this matchup. Instead, they did rotate, going Kyle Steyn alongside Darcy Graham. Free kick now, going the way of Scotland. Ben White around the halfway line, going off to the left. Big tackle made from Beauden Barrett. That looked like it may have been a knock-on from New Zealand, although Nick Berry calls it as backwards off Scotland. Kyle Steyn cutting inwards. And bless you, says Milo. And the outcome on Scotland, the Sabies team is here for the taking, says Jimmy. And the big carry from Schoolman, stepping inwards as Sione Tuipulotu before he is tackled by Peter Lakai and Holland. Now Schoolman again, going back across, wide cut out pass, nicely taken by Graham, inside ball, thought about the little kick him behind for Kinghorn, but he does knock it on in the process. So New Zealand, they'll get themselves another scrum. Let's go, the AB, says Esmeralda. AB's being shaken, says John there, and handling error, says Sighted there as well. The big shot coming in from Josh Lord on Finn Russell, trying to shut down the dangerous first 5 early. We see the skill again of Darcy Graham keeping that ball moving. They did let go, says John there. And will South Africa ever go to the Six Nations? I don't think so. But you'd never know. Money talks at the end of the day. I think that the Six Nations sides are firmly against it. I think that South Africa were happy enough with the Rugby Championship. But they're currently back-to-back winners of the Rugby Championship, so I don't know why they want to leave that competition to go to another one. Except to watch, says I am nutty. And also, there go the All Blacks, Kuala Lumpur. Still awake, says Alaya there. And go ABs, g'day Hamish, following you from Florida, says Eric. Yeah, it's greatly appreciated. You guys popping in from all around the world. The scrums has gone down in the front row. But it is going to be in the hands now of Whaiananuku, who goes across to Beauden Barrett, delaying the pass. In fact, never did actually pass it, so very delayed from Beauden Barrett. Leroy Carter, pick and go. He's going to be held by Hutchinson, and then he gets slammed to the turf. Now Roygaard back across to the right, finds Wallace Satiti. Scotland targeting the rucks. says Haino there. Now back to Bowden Barrett. Does kick it high. Quintal chasing after this one, but he is not going to win the foot race. Kyle Stain now instead with a draw and pass going off to Darcy Graham. Caleb Clark having his hands full out on the wing so far. Let's go for the try. Tui Pelotu is injured. Says Jacopo. I know that they did have to make a little switch earlier on. Was it Tui Pelotu who made his way off? Because if it was, then of course he won't be there, but he was in the starting lineup. I'm just trying to look through for Tom Jordan at the moment. Now, nicely taken by Caleb Clark. Looked like he was possibly tackled in the air. Yes, he was, so penalty goes the way of New Zealand. I thought the All Whites were the soccer team. Says Getzinel there. As a South African, I would hate us playing in the Six Nations. Says Francois there. Caleb Clark went up for the ball. He actually ended up dropping it backwards in the end. The penalty does go the way of the Kiwis. There goes one of Bowden Barrett's aimless kicks again. Says Johnny Blaze. And how do you think the Rugby World Cup in the USA goes in 2031? I think we'll see a lot of competitive sides. And that one, what colour is cheese? It depends on the cheese, doesn't it? The Xmas bearer is out now. Cody Taylor. Ready to throw this one in 15 minutes into the contest, and New Zealand will look to get this rolling maul functioning. Josh Lord slapping it away to the right. Now Quintupai, a bit of a miscommunication there with Whainā Nuku, and that ball's been ripped out of the hands of Leicester. Now Scotland have got the ball. That was a bit of a missed pass from Ewan Ashman, but it's worked out nicely as Dempsey starts to pierce his way through. And we'll go back for the original knock on. Why is this delayed, says All Blacks? How delayed are we talking? And yes, the host is an order qualifier, says Josh Depends. We absolutely do not want or need South Africa down to Six Nations. They are European or non-Europeans. Would be insulting to both hemispheres. Come visit, but don't settle, says Kernovic. And what colour is meat? Once again, depends on the meat that you've got. And when do the away teams start to wear a change strip, says Douglas. I think it's just down to this matchup because of the fact that these two sides, if Scotland were that dark blue and New Zealand were the black, it would be very close. Although I think that they've played in those kits before. Six Nations only for European countries and Northern Hemisphere only. South Africa should stay in the Rugby Champs. It must be, well, it's been the most contested championship to date. Absolutely. I think that this year we were absolutely spoiled for the Rugby Championship. Ben White feeding the ball into the scrum. Now going off to the right-hand side. Chancey again here for Scotland on attack. Rory Hutchison offloading there. Finn Russell manages to shift it away to Darcy Graham, who runs out of space, gets driven into touch. I think there was the advantage already. What colour is Scotland? At the moment, they are wearing that dark blue navy colour. Okay, they're just checking to see whether or not there was a knock-on in the tackle here. Your prediction for Australia versus Italy? I'm going Australia by 9. I think it will be quite a close game, though. It used to be the home team that changed its strip, says Douglas. Yeah, I assume it's because of the fact that Scotland are wearing a commemorative 100-year celebration kit. I'd assume that both of these sides probably had that conversation, and New Zealand, I would assume, would have said, yep, we're more than happy to let you wear that commemorative kit while we wear the away strip. So I think it is just down to the fact that Scotland have got a special kit on for the 100-year celebration. Do they actually deliberately not include Van der Merwe? I think so. I think that it was down to just the selections. They decided they wanted Kyle Stain out there for this contest. And 30 plus, says Roy. There is a bit of a huddle at the moment for both of these sides. It is going to be All Blacks ball, so they have ruled it as no knock on there. It looks like Finn Russell just getting a little bit of attention on his knee. A bit of strapping on the inside. That man's certainly going to need both of his knees working at full function for the Scottish attack, currently down by the 7. Just the one early try from Cam Roigard coming in the 3rd minute of the game. Cody Taylor, this one 40 metres out. What colour is the grass? I think that one should be self-explanatory. Bomb Collective, unless you're colourblind. Are you colourblind? Maybe that's why you're struggling a little bit. And just a rotation policy to blood in more players. Good strategy to increase player pool for the next World Cup. AB's defence superb, says DG. I hope so. There is far too much fiddling with tradition, says Douglas. I had to pass about with David Kirk in 1989 in Scotland, says Jimmy. As the one on the bench, he is not. They have got Tom Jordan as that number 23. And also Jamie Dobie as the 22. But Finn Russell just about finished getting the strapping, although there is a lot of strapping on that leg. It's pretty much starting at his quad muscle going right down to the shin for Finn Russell. So they are definitely making sure that nothing slips out there. But that's one of the heaviest strappings we've actually seen for a fly half. I think it was just in the tackle. Hey, doing his own thing, says John. And lucky they're not playing in Glasgow, all the needles on the fields. I make it hard to play, says I'm nutty. And what colour is Scotland? All sort of greeny brown with grey bits. Says Conrad, that one's going to be thrown in, nicely taken by Josh Lord. Now looking to get this rolling maul going with Cody Taylor situated at the back. It is currently going sideways, so New Zealand decide to take it off the back, going to the left-hand side. Bowden Barrett finds Clark. Darcy Graham has to be very careful there with getting the head on the wrong side. He did have an ugly knockout. I think it was Finn Russell, wasn't it? Who knocked out Darcy Graham not too long ago. I think that was in July. Now off to the right-hand side again. Bowden Barrett thought about passing to Lester Fainanuku, who looks like he's being tackled well and truly off the ball by Darcy Ray. Sniping run from Roygar. Pops it up to Fainanuku again. Barrett goes to Ethan de Groot. Now Holland offload to Will Jordan. Tries to step. He's 5 metres out from the try line now. Ball's loose. No. Gets it back now. Going away to this left-hand side. Fainanuku cutting back inwards. Currently 5 metres out from the line. Fighting for a couple of extra metres there. Quinn Tupaia gets there a little bit closer. Fletcher, no, with the pick and go. New Zealand looking for their second try. Fainanuku, another pick and go from him. They've got about 3 or 4 players in that back line who are absolutely keen to keep on getting those chances. Now off to the right-hand side. This is where Caleb Clark could be so dangerous. Oh, and it looks like he's actually having a bit of a switch here, moving away to the right-hand side rather than the left. Now Roygaard passes across to Peter Larkai, pops it up to Wallace Satiti. The two loose forwards working together. Fainanuku, bit more space. He decides to go himself. Now Roygaard, Bowden Barrett, Jordan, quick hands there. Quinn Tupaia tackled low, great defence at the moment from Scotland, but a good clean out on the breakdown from Caleb Clark. Artie Savia trying to get his legs going. There's going to be the advantage. Big clean out on Caleb Clark. Still has the ball. 20 minutes through in this contest. The All Blacks looking for their second. Now de Groot, 10 metres out from the line. Scotland holding up for now. Now Bowden Barrett goes across. Will Jordan to Cody Taylor. It was a forward pass, so they'll go back for the penalty in favour of the Kiwis. Why such an unlucky venue for the All Blacks, says Neil. And we have also got the hello. It is me. What you on about? Says what? And also, why aren't you dressed formally? The best probably explanation is just that I'm sick. So I was initially going to be putting on the suit after this live or after the last one between Japan and Ireland. Ran out of time in between. More strapping on the knee of Finn Russell. But yeah, we're just in the hoodie. I'm hiding all the Vicks Vapor Rub that is on my chest at the moment. This is a bit of a concern early on here for Finn Russell. Tradition's got auction off to the highest bidder. Oh, they've decided to take a quick tap here. Fainanuku looping around the back again. Thought about the offload. Decides against it now. Roygaard shoveling it on. Roygaard having a dig around in the breakdown for that possession. Artie Savi, another advantage going the way of the Kiwis. Again, Caleb Clark moving away to the right-hand side. Good step from Will Jordan. Just can't quite find their way through at the moment. And they'll go back for another penalty. Oh, double blow of the whistle here as well. This might be last warning here. We have got there, thanks Yako, says Eric. And also we have got there who scored the first try. First try was Cam Roygaard. In the 3rd minute of the contest, he managed to get himself over the line right. The next penalty will go to the bin here. Looks like the All Blacks may consider the scrum or the quick tap. One moment, I'm quickly going to sneeze. Looks like the scrum is going to be the option that New Zealand take on there. And evening average, says Tommy Tank. Welcome in. And Finn needs his quarter orange at halftime. A bit of cold spray. He'll be right as rain. Says what? But a quarter of the way through this contest, 21 minutes in. The All Blacks still with that lead of 7. They would love nothing more than just to increase that a little bit more here. get another try just out from the line. I try not to jinx it by saying yes. And get him off, says Salah. Yeah, they have got cover for Finn Russell in this case with Tom Jordan, but I don't think they'll want him to come off this early on just because of the fact that they've only got that 6-2. What's your go-to KFC order, says Dylan. I don't know. Recently, I've just gone to chicken. Like, I used to like a Colonel burger or a Colonel stacker, but they no longer do that. For some reason, they have to have a Zinger stacker, but I can't handle spice. So, that's quite sad. Normally just chicken tenders and chicken. We have got there. You are the best commentator, Hamish. Really? You're not 100% well, thank you, says Sue Walsh. Yeah, hopefully you guys haven't hated listening to me sound all snuffly throughout these streams. We have still got 2 more coming later on, and then a couple more after that, 2 ibuprofens with 2 shots of good whiskey. Says Sonny there. And bless you, Hamish, you're a superstar, says Ruth. And I know KFC again. It always comes up on these live streams, I've noticed. No coleslaw. I'm not a big fan of coleslaw. I don't actually like mayonnaise or like salad dressing or anything like that, so I'm just fussy. You're doing well, mate, says Salah there. Now ready to feed this ball in. Cam Roygar 5 metres out from the line. Now available. Haka goes to Roygar, looping around. Short ball to Will Jordan again. It is some brilliant goal line defence from Scotland at the moment. Savia going back across to Josh Lord. It's where if they can shift it wide to the left, I think Caleb Clark could be in, but I don't know whether or not they'll be able to get it out to him swiftly. They sound fine, Hamish, says John. Well, that's good news. As long as it sounds roughly like it normally would, we're all good. Wallace, the TT gets close. Roygar goes across now, closer to the line. He's dropped it there. Quintupire just a couple metres short. And brilliant defence from Scotland leads to them surviving the All Blacks attack. High dose of vitamin C in you until you get the squirts. That'll sort you out, says John. And still sound like Hamish, says Stephanie there. And oops, says Hanger Rap for that drop ball from Quintupire. Nice to see Scotland let the All Blacks have the ball for a wee while. Get a wee bit of confidence before we start playing. Great sportsmanship from us as usual, says Kyle H. We see there the celebration from Gregor Townsend. He knows how crucial that steal was there for Scotland. Or at least that forced error. What defence? Kind of pathetic from New Zealand, says Mr. Tuba Dude and Colonel Commentator. Says Clayton there. And nice to see you again. Thanks for the broadcast of this game, says Aileen. No worries at all. And come on, they were close. They were, but Scotland's defence, I think, deserves a ton of credit for what they've been able to do throughout the last about 10 minutes where they have had to defend. Like, this was very impressive from Scotland. Great D, Scotland. New Zealand needs to rethink attack within 22 metres, says Studs Race. And come on, they were close. Like they've said, there was the warning there from the referee. Townsend looking frustrated though. Well, what do you see in All Blacks pack? Hasn't been the same since Wayne Shelford retired, says Jimmy. Geez, that's a little bit of a throwback, isn't it? A scrum feed here will be Scotland's. It takes Scotland 25 minutes to get into gear. They survive the first 20. They come out gunning, says John. In early days, but the All Blacks could run out of petrol, says John. Although in their last game up against Ireland, it was actually as the match progressed that the All Blacks got stronger, something that we weren't used to seeing throughout this year. All right, Cody Taylor's actually been penalised for a neck roll here. That becomes the penalty rather than the scrum. Welcome back, Craig. Says Yanko there. I like to know the Kangaroos' win percentage. It must be better than the All Blacks. They have won a lot of games recently. The Aussies, I assume that they've won this one up against England as well, or at least are in the direction towards winning it. I'll watch it on Supersport with international commentary and 1 year Hamish's commentary. You're definitely on their level, Hamish. Maybe even better, says Mark. Do appreciate that. Now around the halfway line, I do see there's a little bit of drizzle or a little bit of rain starting to fall at Murrayfield. It was anticipated for this contest. On out throw for Ewan Ashman. If they could get back into New Zealand's half, it would be a massive plus for the Scottish here. And that one's going to be nicely taken from Gregor Brown. It's a line-out target, and that's going to be another advantage. That is side entry going against the All Blacks. Sione Tuipulotu pops it in behind. Russell, with the flat ball. On the halfway line, Ben White going now. Finn Russell kicks it in behind, looking for the 50-22, and he gets it there. And Scotland now in a great position on the field. Like they have said, a brilliant kick from Finn Russell. Was it taken back? I think it was fine for the Scottish. So that is a 50-22.5 from Russell there. Jordan trying to cover, but an awkward bouncing ball manages to get around him. 24 minutes through, Scotland, one of their best attacking chances of the whole half. Looks like Finn's leg is fine. When he kicks like that, says side to New Zealand under pressure. Says walk him down. Ready to throw it in now. Ewan Ashman. Oh, almost stolen by Fabian Holland. And it's going to be a knock on against the Kiwis. So Scotland have that to fall back on. Now Ben White across to the left-hand side finds the hands of Pierce Schoolman. 10 metres out. Ben White pops it on the inside. A Kyle staying big two-man tackle from Null and Holland. New Zealand's defence, it will be tested just like Scotland's was not too long ago. Here's an accurate boot. Says Johan there. Very accurate for Finn Russell. And now backline Hutchinson gets the offload away to Russell. Slings it one more on the outside. Kinghorn flicks it back to Darcy Graham. 5 metres out, turns into 2. And getting very close to the line. I think they're going to be held up there. Yes, they are. Graham making the mistake of trying to go for that extra roll there. And unfortunately for him, it means that he gets held up. He thought that he was going to be able to go over. He has just said that's effing BS, is the comment there from Darcy Graham. But I think that that was his mistake. It's going to be kicked downfield. Goal line dropout has worked very nicely. Finn Russell claims it 40 metres out from Scotland's line. Now, gets in there. Commend Scotland for playing great defence while being offside. Says, yeah, man, well, with the exception of those couple offside penalties against them, like, you got to look at it from the broader backline of New Zealand. The fact that they were able to shut down Will Jordan multiple times, Fine Arnuku in there as well. Like, it was multiple phases back to back to back that Scotland had to defend inside of their 22, and a lot of other international sides would have actually conceded with the amount of attack that we saw from the Kiwis. Now, Peter Lakai stealing that ball back. Not a lot of arms there from Blair Kinghorn. So advantage going the way of New Zealand. Kick downfield. Roygaard decides he wants to have a crack at a 50-22. Darcy Graham gets back and controls it. Tries the step. Gets almost around the outside of Caleb Clark, but round the ankles. Brilliant tackle made by Clark there. And wake up, boys, says Linky there. And also, what a game so far, says Kyle. Actually, a frantic pace for these two sides, currently sitting at 27 minutes through. Now we have good there, couldn't make the bench in his prime. And wake up, boys, says Linky in there too. But a great steal from Peter Lakai. And Nick Berry, the worst ref in the world, says hello, it's me. But that's a great tackle from Caleb Clark. Darcy Graham thought that he had burst down the wing and beat him for pace. But big round of applause there from Razor from the coaching box too. That was a high-risk offload there. Could have easily gone wrong if he wasn't in touch anyway. We have got there Sione Lawakai on the bench or what? Says Bomb. I assume you're talking about Lawakai for the All Blacks 15. Siali Lawakai, I believe it is. What's the crowd like? It looks packed at Murrayfield. Looks like a few bits of blood coming out of the head of Ethan Grew. So just dealing with that one moment. I'm about to sneeze. We are good. Now line out throw. Successful for the Kiwis. They sit 20 metres out from the line. And again, Scotland find themselves offside. How was that legal? He took it from the middle of the ruck. Should have been penalised. How's the Abby's midfield looking so far? It's been all right. Decision-making's been slightly off for them. But they've still had some decent runs forward. I think that they've both had a bit of goal line fever when they get close to the try line. They want to get that big try that will secure their spot, which I think at times has stopped them from just making simple passes. Caleb Clark trying to break the line, couldn't quite get that pass away to Will Jordan, probably a little bit in the same boat. Bowden Barrett going back across to Satiti, 5 metres out from the line. Who scored the All Blacks try was Cam Roygaard in the 3rd minute of the contest. Bit of a rough pass there. We'll go back to another penalty for New Zealand. Bowden Barrett wanted to take it quickly, wasn't on the mark. What's the clock, Hamish, at the moment? It is 28 minutes through this contest. So just the 12 minutes remaining in this first half. And come on, New Zealand, score it, says Novmum. And this is an interesting choice from New Zealand. They have decided to take on the 3 points. It is straight out in front of the post multiple times. Throughout this half, we have seen New Zealand go to the scrum or the quick tap. But in this scenario, they have decided to go for the 3. That's what they got. Diarty saw something and had a word with Berry, says the AI underdog pick. And watch from Dundee, home of Marmalade. And Finn Struggling says DG. Yeah, with the exception of that 50-22, it does seem like that leg has given him a couple troubles here throughout this half. That one is going to go over. And that is going to make the score now 10 points to 0. And Finn Russell, he is back down getting more strapping on that knee. Why do only one side got advantage? Says WLK. At this stage, it's only been, well, no, to be fair, Scotland have had themselves, I think it's 2 penalties so far. Is it a sellout attendance? It does look that way. I haven't seen any empty seats from what I've been able to see from scanning around the stadium. It looks pretty packed for Murrayfield in this one. And get Kinghorn on the field, says John. Kinghorn is on the field. He's at 15, but Tom Jordan is the man making his way off the bench. Hamish, it's the guy from Zambia. Does your dad still need a golfing partner, by the way? What's the score? Great commentary. As always, good on you, says John. And there, so score at the moment 10-0 in favour of New Zealand. You'd have to travel a wee way to become his golfing partner, I would say. Cam Roygaard rolling this one back into the 22, so this one taken back. And Scotland Park in the bus says walk him down. Oh, and that one's going to be knocked back into the hands of Artie Savia. The second half be interesting, says Linky there. If that was Fiji, it would have been a yellow card, says Fiji Islander. Now going back across to the left-hand side, little chip attempted in behind and nicely claimed by Scotland again. Rory Hutchison is able to cut that one off. Just have a quick look at the other games that are taking place. Romania are 12-0 up at halftime. Portugal are leading 5 points to 3 in a very close game up against Uruguay. Is Fundamental playing? He's not playing in this game. Is Ali Katoa still alive? I believe so. But yeah, it was a bit of a brutal one. Took multiple head knocks. They decided to keep on chucking him out there, and then he had a brain surgery. Oh, that ball told to get out of there for Lester Whainānuku as he still looks to steal that one. Great commentary, says Papa Nasty. Thank you very much. Scotland 45 metres out from their line. Looks like Ben White now this time is going to send this one up high as Manu Samoa playing. They actually beat Brazil not too long ago, so they are on the right track to qualify for that Rugby World Cup as long as they beat Namibia as well as Belgium. A moment about to sneeze, knock on advantage though in favour of the Scottish. This is a wrong time to need a sneeze, so hopefully we'll be able to just avoid it for a little bit longer. Bowden Barrett claiming that ball inside of the 22. Nicely taken by Scotland. Counter-attacking chance on now. 40 metres out from the line. Finn Russell. That's going to hurt the knee. So he's chopped down by Cody Taylor. Now Blair Kinghorn. 25 metres out from the line. Still for Scotland. They need a try before half-time. And for end of game, a slow scoring, but slow scoring so far, says Stephanie. Bit of a counter-up coming from New Zealand, and they've managed to take that ball back. Artie Savia goes to Tamaiti Williams. Whainānuku, Jordan, now out to Caleb Clark. Offloaded back to Jordan. Offloaded on the inside, finds the hands of Savia. Ball's loose, kicked downfield by Darcy Graham. Was that a foot trip from Leroy Carter? Because it looked a lot like one. And they may have to check this one. They are saying that he lost his footing, but this could be a yellow card against Leroy Carter if he's not careful. I was a Scottish flag, but looks like YouTube is not liking it. Yeah, for some reason they don't like to show the Scottish flag. Right, this is a penalty, and this is going to be at least a yellow card, I believe, against Leroy Carter if it was a foot trip. It may have just been obstruction, though. Like they are saying, if it was a trip, it will be a yellow card. Yep, foot trip from Leroy Carter, plain as day. And this is going to be a minimum of a yellow card. Big mistake from Leroy Carter here. And damn sheesh, says yeah, I underdog pick. And the commentary is the only reason I can still work without sitting in a bar watching, says Brock. But yeah, this one's going to be at least a yellow for Leroy. And like they've said, it's cynical, so it could even be a red card for Leroy Carter. We see Leroy Carter just sticks that leg out. Yeah, that's a pretty bad one. Instinct to blame. Well, the worst thing is he did his first initial No, that's not instinct. That's him trying to get sneaky there. Trying to stop Darcy Graham. So this one's going to be at least yellow. These All Blacks are dirty. Says WL. That's not a yellow card yet. It is going to the pocket, and this one will be an off-field review now for Leroy Carter. Leroy Carter is one of my favourite players, says Reeds. I don't think he realises he's got a yellow card. He's staying out there. Leroy Carter. I don't think anyone's told him. Yep. Now he's just realised. Leroy Carter, he was just in the team huddle having a drink with the team. Who's captain for the ABs today? It is Artie Savia as the captain here. But now finding out that he has got carded, the crowd giving him a big send-off too. But now the All Blacks down to 14 men. Yeah, maybe upgrade it. It possibly will, because you can see the intent there from Leroy Carter. And Darcy should be swearing now. It sounds like Scotland are holding well defensively. They have been very strong defensively throughout this first half. But 33 minutes through, 10-0. And the rest of this half, New Zealand will be playing with 14 or less. 20 years ago, that's red. Says Studs Rays, more stupid stuff again. Says Billy Bob there. I am about to sneeze. That one that I held off before is not staying on. We are good. Rolling maul now. And they bloody better. Says John, so unnecessary from Leroy. It should have been a red, and it could still be a red card. Going off to the left-hand side. Passing it across. Finn Russell finds Kinghorn. He has still got the man on his outside, but decides to cut back inwards. Great low tackle again from Caleb Clark. The textbook low round the ankles tackle. Done it multiple times throughout this one case. He actually has plenty of vitamin C in it. So you should have lots when you are sick. RFK Jr. said so. Says, cool story. Now 5 metres out from the line. Scotland charging forward. That is close. Hutchinson's going to be held up by New Zealand, and that is the second time they're held up in the in-goal area. It's going to be the goal line dropout. Was it a try-scoring opportunity? I've never seen a red card for a lead trip before, says Ja Reeds. He still had a bit of work to do, Darcy Graham, and I believe there was covered offence, but yeah, it certainly wasn't the smartest play from Leroy Carter, that is for sure. And hello, Hamish. And how's it going, everyone? See Sebastian in there as well. Welcome in, mate. Hope you're doing well. KFC and chips, lots of vitamins, says Ruth. And also we have there, Scots couldn't capitalise. Yep, Bowden Barrett. Another goal line dropout. His last one was very strong. This one taken by Darcy Graham before wrestling into the turf was Caleb Clark. Good stuff, says Smite. And also we have got there as well, get some antihistamines, non-drowsy. I got a commentary, or great commentaries as usual. Yeah, see, I've tried a few different things. I had something earlier on. Like, my throat is completely fine, which is great, because that was the part that I was more worried about for the streams. But I had something before the stream that made my throat numb, so that was good, I guess. Now Ashman, a little bit of a counter ruck there, trying to chuck that ball away. Cody Taylor picks it up, knocked on by Lester Whainanukū for his second or third knock-on of the day so far. He is not happy about it. And sorry you aren't well, Amos says Heather. I'll say it could be worse. You know, like I said, my throat's fine. There's no issues there. It's just my nose won't stop running. Throat is the moneymaker, says Bomb Collective there. Is he Dan's illegitimate son? He is not, no. But Leroy Carter certainly got a bright future in the All Blacks, as long as he doesn't do too many more of what he just did. Craig here, says Craig there. I don't think Scotland is where they should be. New Zealand are just bad. Says hello. Brian Abana was given a yellow for league trip during the Tri-Nations time against the All Blacks. Can't be red. Says Michelle, although the law has changed a little bit. Oh, what colour are your pants, Hamish? They are black. But now, big scrum here. Tamaiti on the field, not exactly a big hit for the Kiwis, while De Groot is off, but now going short side. Nice step from Ben White. Final score, Scotland 21, All Blacks 10. Also, you're saying no more points here for the Kiwis, and the penalty goes the way of the All Blacks. Mistake made by Scotland and some great work from Artie Savia in the breakdown. And New Zealand is just bad, and New Zealand always win. Says Big Rig there. And joke's on you, Joe, he isn't wearing any, says Kyle. As if someone's streaming shoulders and up. Would ever wear pants, says Yanko. The thing is, though, I'm in an area where someone could walk in. So me having no pants on would be a very awkward encounter. And will you stream Fiji versus England? We are going to be doing that match on the channel, followed by South Africa versus France. Savia trying to get straight in there for the seal. Craig from St. Francis Bay, says Craig there. And also we got a donation from Sulla as well. Thank you very much. Very generous of you guys. And Geelong score again, says I am nutty, now ready to throw it in. Cody Taylor. Nicely done. Oh, tell you what, that's a hard landing there for Scott Cummings. He is grimacing at the moment. He was pretty much just thrown across, and then that was it. They just pretty much ditched him in the air. Now Cam Roigard, being told to use it. This one's going to be kicked high. Will Jordan chasing after this one. Quinn Tupaia after it as well. Knocked on by Jordan. Ball on the side of the Scots. Now Blair King on. This is a bit of space to be able to work with, but a wide cut-out pass doesn't quite work out. In fact, yeah, they've called it as the forward pass. I was just doing a Haka honest, says Kyle H. Carter is 83 kgs and not supremely gifted. Just energy. I won't be a long-term All Black, says Sonny. Also, we have got the AO as the shirt and tie champion. So it was initially going to be on. But I was supposed to do it in between the last two streams, the last stream, Ireland and Japan. But I am currently sick, so I got a whole heap of Vicks Vapor Rub on my chest. So, yeah, I don't know. I didn't end up making a switch, but that was also just because I was trying to sort my nose out before the next live stream. Well, yeah, no, they're saying that Kinghorn maybe was taken out. I didn't expect this low score at halftime, says Brett there. I can use the donation to buy some pants, says Stephanie there. And by far my favourite rugby commentator, not even a bad flu will stop you. You probably have South African blood, says Rian Duplessis. And also I agree with you, Big 10 in the room, says Daryl. Looks like Cody Taylor getting a little bit of attention here. Just a bit of tape on the ankle, I want to say. And we have there honey, ginger, stick, cinnamon, and garlic tea. Hamish will fix you right up, says Cameron K. And New Zealand 27, Scotland's 14. It's a prediction there from Lente. And the All Blacks have found quite the scrum half in Cam Roigard, haven't they? The lad looks great and knows how to get over the try line. Have you got tonsils? I do, yes. And how was your dad's birthday? It was good, thank you. It was nice in the end. There was an unplanned trip that we ended up going on to go pick up some water tanks. So, yeah, managed to have about a 2.5 hour car ride for his birthday, so I decided to go along with him rather than him doing it by himself, so that was nice. And try Linneman, says Marcus there. A pretty close game, but I think New Zealand will open up after the second half. Don't run a marathon with a cold, it can permanently damage your heart. See, I didn't run a marathon, but I had to play cricket because our team were going to be short. So I ended up batting as an opener and batted most of the innings. Try before halftime would be nice, says Tony. And the line-out is functioning great, says Socks in there too. Yeah, Josh Lord, honestly, I know that he's one that quite a few people haven't been a massive advocate for. But he's doing not too bad. Now Cam Roigard. Putting this ball in. Currently a minute remaining in this first half. And it is another big scrum for the Kiwis. They get themselves the penalty advantage. Larkai gets it away to Roigard. He's shut down from Ben White. Scotland looking for that counter ruck, but is still on the side of New Zealand. Jordan goes on the outside of Wallace. Satiti thought about going to Caleb Clark. He's got him with him. Doesn't need him, though, because he goes on the inside to Will Jordan, who scores the try, and New Zealand strike again before the halftime break. They scored right at the start of the half. They score right at the end, and Wallace Satiti deserves a lot of credit for what he was able to do in that build-up to help his side get over the try line there. And here, boys, says Distracted. How many runs did you score? I got 36 off 36, which is quite quick scoring for myself. Normally, I'm nowhere near a 100 strike rate. But yeah, 36 off 36. It was a T20 and we were only chasing 90. So it meant that we didn't really need to go too quickly. But top scored for the team in the end. The 2.5 minutes remaining now. Beauden Barrett ready to line up this kick, and this will give New Zealand that little bit more of a lead now, sitting here 17-0 in favour of the Kiwis, and that is now the halftime break. 6 sixes, no. I did get about 5 fours though, I think. Maybe, or it might have been less than that, maybe 4 fours. I've had a way to hit on the onside yet. Kind of. Only about 1 shot. I've learned that worst case scenario, I get bowled, but I'm pretty much foot down the track and just try and hit it to cow corner like most people do for their leg side. But it was quite fun on Saturday because I did it twice in a row for 2 fours, and then they said it's the only shot he's got. But little did they know I'd never play that shot other than like once a game. So then from there, doing some cut shots and all sorts. Let's go, baby. Says Dom there. And maybe rugby is not Scotland's game. This is not a good All Blacks team, and Scotland has nothing, says WLK. And German commentators are saying don't write off Scotland yet, and the loose trio for the All Blacks is electric. Yeah, it's been doing very well at the moment. Wallace Satiti. And I have to say, the lineouts are functioning a lot better than I think some people thought they would, which is great news for the Kiwis as well. Scotland better do something radical soon. And nice with 14 on the field, 17-0. And put the game on. Says George, the game is on Sky Sport 1. Would be your best option to significant changes, Whainarauku and Lord. Yeah, see, I'm going to be a little bit critical and say Whainarauku hasn't had his best game yet. He's had about 2 or 3 handling errors along the way and seems like he's a little bit, I don't know, he doesn't seem like he's quite working alongside the midfield as of yet, but that doesn't mean that he won't build into the role throughout the later stages of the game. Josh Lord's been really strong. Who got the sin bin? Leroy Carter got sent off the field for the 10 minutes. How's the fullbacks compared tonight, Amish? I think the forwards are doing their job here for the ABs. 1 second, we are about to sneeze again. So we'll quickly... We are good, hopefully. And the thoughts on our 12 and 13? Not quite functioning to its best of its ability yet. But I don't think that that's going to be the case the whole time. Whainarauku getting heavily marked. Yeah, they are keeping an eye on him. Now, I think that Quinta Pye has been shut down quite a bit here too. 36 runs, that's way more than the Barbars managed to get in the last series. See Sebastian there. Oh, sorry, then Barbara Razam, my apologies. I said that as the Barbarians, didn't I? Rico Ioane, as Greer's done for. Should stay in Ireland, get contract extension with Leinster, and New Zealand come up, boys. Says Sheldon there. He seems gun-shy at the moment. Yeah, as if he doesn't want to make that big error, but then at the same time, that's stopping him from playing his natural game. An open game, lots of running, doesn't suit Leicester. Says Davey there. What we will do is we will go through and look at the benches for this game, ladies and gents. For Scotland, they have got George Turner, Rory Sutherland, and also Miller Mills as their number 18. Sykes and Darge. Darge could be a big impact player for Scotland, but of course he won't want to have too much work to have to do when he makes his way onto the field. Bayliss is there, Dobie, and also Jordan, which I don't know how much longer we are going to see Finn Russell on the field. He seems like he's struggling quite a bit with that knee injury. They may try and sort him out and maybe make that switch. Don't really want to risk the injury too heavily here for the New Zealanders. They have made a couple changes. We saw Tamaiti Williams on the field briefly. That was due to the blood bin of Ethan de Groot. And then from there, in fact, no, just the one change for the Kiwis at this point in time. But I think we'll see a few changes at some point in the relatively near future here as well. And we have got there, come on, the Scot, says George. And don't worry, we are just trying to beat the 38 points comeback we did against England, that's all. Says Kyle H. and Bodie, though, are just not looking like a threat out there. And the All Blacks, says Francois. And I should mention someone who has looked like a threat out there on the park is Cam Roigard. Been creating some very good opportunities for the Kiwis. I lit a black candle for you, so expect rain tomorrow. Says Gold Story. I like for Ireland as a New Zealander. All Blacks franchise is trash. Or I'd play for Ireland as a New Zealander. Good work, boys. Good work. And surely put Cortez Ratama on. The tricky part is Ratama, he probably needs minutes, but at the same time, like you look at what Cam Roigard's been able to do throughout this first half. He's got himself the try. He's been very busy in that 9 jersey, making some brilliant decisions. So I don't know whether or not you can take him off early. in this case. Is it too late to try Love at 9 this year? Says Joss. Yeah, I don't even know where they're going to try Ruben Love at this point. They don't seem to have him too high up. But then the thing is, for the All Blacks 15, we saw Luke Jacobson and Sever Reece. So my big question is, why didn't Ruben Love get the opportunity to play for the All Blacks 15? I want to see Josh Berry get a game with Sam Derry. He has that aggressive mongrel in him. And how many runs did he score, Hamish, off how many balls? So I got 36 off 36 in the end. And I got out to the worst ball of the day. It was a big full toss from a spin bowler, and I just didn't get hold of it and got caught and bowled. But definitely was not expecting a big full toss from the spinner, but I should have, because he hadn't bowled in like 2 years. Gives a look at the AB's lineup, Hamish, please. 1 second, we'll go like that, and like that. There we go. This is the All Blacks lineup for this contest. I went to Scotland some years ago. They are very similar to Kiwis. I was the score for the AB's 15 versus England B, and the end score for that contest was 31-14 in favour of the New Zealand 15. Are you like Mark Chapman, Hamish? Nah, Mark Chapman scores a lot more runs than me, that is for sure. Our Razor should bring in our bomb squad much earlier, while Scotland ain't much of a threat in this game. Says Sana. Yeah, I wouldn't trust them. I think that Scotland have still got some sort of potential of coming back in this game a little bit. Now, don't get me wrong, they have made it difficult for themselves, being 17-0 down. New Zealand, they have got the man disadvantage at the moment, added to over 100 years of not beating New Zealand. Says Sean, we start recording your cricket games again. It's a bit of a tricky one, because I do want to, but at the same time, I think there's one or two in the team, since I'm in a new side from last year, I don't think want to have their matches filmed. So it does make it difficult. It's the same as last year, how I've got about 15 matches on my hard drive, but there was one person who was like, I don't want to be in any of the videos, but then they feature in so many of the clips that it meant that I pretty much have no way of editing it down and whatnot without trying to do a whole heap of motion tracking and a censoring of them and whatnot. So it's a bit of a tricky one, but they're all still there sitting on the hard drive. 1 second, I'm about to sneeze again. We've got there, it's Turner, not Tuna, says Ian, and 8-3 to Portugal. Oh, so Portugal's still leading in that game up against Uruguay by a thin margin at this point in time. Belgium versus Namibia, when does that game start up? That's very close, isn't it? World Cup qualifiers taking place. Where is it? There it is. Yeah, Belgium, wow. Belgium 17-0 at the moment. That is huge for the Belgian side. They actually came in as underdogs for that matchup. That's quite the statement that Belgium are making. You go through tissues like you are 16 again. Says I am nutty there. And Amy is going to break a scoring record against their rivalry in Scotland today. Are you allergic to grass? Kind of. But then also I just have a cold at the moment, unfortunately. The All Blacks are expected to win this game by 13 plus in this scenario. Osama playing, do or don't. They did manage to win up against Brazil, 48-10. I can't believe that Belgium-Namibia scoreline. Unless, of course, Namibia are missing players. As rugby gone soft with the amount of cards being handed out for everything. Some things feel a little bit softer than they used to in terms of cards. But then at the same time, that one for a foot trip, that's a yellow card every day of the week. Have you ever thought about being a commentator professionally, like for New Zealand Rugby or League? Not really. Only because of the fact that I feel like what makes these live streams so much fun to do is the fact that you guys are in the chat for these matches. Prediction for the Box and the France. I'm going 10 points in favour of the Box. I feel like having a match under their belt is going to be too much of an advantage over a French side that have not got that one game. Belgium got a young Toulouse player in their team. And also we have got they've probably got Van Dam playing. A big second half from the All Blacks. And also we have got their wet grass, I suspect, hence the cold. Says Daryl, it's just someone recently came back from a holiday and they were sick, from travelling, and then they decided to very generously give it to me. We have got their trip in on the opposition, has never been on. Yellow all day in Canada, says Bo King. So Canada are playing up against Romania at the moment. And in that game, the Romanians are leading over Canada 19 points to 7 at the way that it currently sits. What is the score between Belgium and Namibia? Belgium are winning 17-0. Kiwis versus Samoa Rugby League this afternoon as well. Yep, we are going to be covering that one on the channel. But second half of this contest just around the corner. And rugby needs to open up more to wider Europe. Says Mumbo Jumbo. Yeah, quite a few European sides are actually playing at the moment. Even the games outside of the ones that we've been mentioning. We have seen the likes of Austria just played Slovakia. We've seen Czech Republic played Croatia. Poland are playing Denmark. Just around the corner too. Romania are in action. Uruguay playing Portugal in that match, which the score at the moment is 8 points to 6 between those two sides. Artie Savia, man of the match, says the 40s there, and Spain versus Ireland A just started. Will Carter's yellow remain will be upgraded. Honestly, it could be 50-50. Like, it's one of those ones that it was cynical from Leroy Carter. It didn't stop a certain try-scoring opportunity, but it's still a foot trip. So I'd say that it's probably about a yellow and a half at the moment, and I have no idea which way they're going to roll it. We need to get New Zealand to threaten, take our wee bit hill, and Glenn to be able to beat them. And also Zimbabwe will beat their neighbours South Africa and Australia 2027, says John Mills. And how do Hamish keep up with the schedule, says Michael. I honestly don't really know. But we've got 2 more matches today. Fiji versus England, taking place just around the corner. And then also alongside that, we will be doing South Africa versus France. So the 2 games still remaining. If Carter's yellow upgraded, I'll eat my hat. Says DG there. And orange says Ruanel. And also we have got their Ireland A just scored. Geez, they only just started, didn't they? And their match gives Scotland Stewart Island, says Michael. Never mind that World Cup every 4 years. That's ridiculous. Basically couldn't boast nothing because didn't have the head-to-head record on New Zealand before 23 Cup. Don't got 4 nations. Rugby Europe seems well run. The annual under-20 and under-18 comp starting soon, I believe. Says Andre. Yeah, they seem to be very well organised at the moment. Even those European competitions as well have done quite nicely. One moment, about to sneeze. I definitely did jinx it when I said that my nose was blocked earlier on and that it wasn't as bad as the last stream. France by 6, says Vanilla there. Romania was becoming a very good team during 70s and 80s. Needed more help from World Rugby. And what we will get you in curling, or in the curling, don't you worry. Well, sorry, we will get you in the curling is what I should say. What like is Josh Lord and Fabian combination, like Derry as well. Glad Scott B had a sabbatical. Honestly, Josh Lord, I think he's thoroughly impressed a lot of people in this match. He is not normally one who, when put in a team sheet, people often go, nah, like he hasn't really proven a lot. But this game, he's been one of the standout forwards for the Kiwis. So I do think that for him, this is the type of game that he really needed. And, you know, it may book himself some more starting minutes while Barrett is out. A Lucky Rugby Pass lets you watch 4 games at once. Says I'm nutty. And Josh Lord palming the pill insane. Says Ben there and Scotland need to think they are playing England to stand a chance. No chance for this game, says Scott's Bay. Or Scott's Boy, I should say. Right. Second half just about to get back underway. New Zealand have got themselves the 17-0 lead. The tries from Cam Roigard and also Will Jordan in this match. And Wallace is a true Highlander. Says Michael there too. Right. We haven't got the update yet in terms of whether or not that yellow Carter, Leroy Carter, is going to be upgraded. Namibia has a very small population, so I can't blame them for barely making it to the Rugby World Cup. I am still surprised, though. Like, honestly, maybe I'm underestimating Belgium. But, Namibia got 3 points. I guess that's something. But, yeah, I would have expected them to do a lot better up against the Namibians. Up against the Belgians. Can you please talk about the actual match, please? Listening in the car. Currently, it's halftime. But once the match gets back underway, we're going to be back to the play-by-play commentary. We are just waiting for them to get back underway in the contest. And we have got their Satiti man at a half. Says Isaac there. You get tested for roids on international phase. So that comment is useless, says Brett. And it's halftime, says Isaac. It is indeed. Second half just about to get back underway. Territory 50-50. Possession 53% in favour of New Zealand. Scotland making 102 tackles throughout that first half, and meters made relatively even in that department as well. And Belgium and Netherlands have a lot of South Africans playing for them. Says, I am nutty. And Jesus already half two. Only felt like 3 minutes, says Tanner. Yeah, this game has flown by. Hopefully the second half, do get to thoroughly enjoy it. Seen 2 tries, Will Jordan, Cam Roygard, but this one's going to be kicked off by Blair Kinghorn to get us underway. And this is where Scotland, their defence was pretty solid throughout that first half. They just need their attack to back it up. Oh, and a big knock on from Peter Larkai to start the half. Already the ball in the hands of Scotland. Ben White going back across Finn Russell, looking for the cross kick. Darcy Graham decides to try and kick it on the full. And we'll go back for, I believe it will be the line out. Nick Berry became the ref because he never got picked for a team, says Jimmy. And Leroy is not a red, says Michael there. And Spain scores, says I'm nutty. But yeah, just still waiting for that confirmation on Leroy Cardiff, whether or not it stays as a yellow. I believe it is staying as yellow though. Peter Larkai now stepping, hangs onto it this time before he is tackled by Fagerson and Ashman. Yep, kick it up. We'll knock it on for you, says Mr. Tubadude. Yep. Kicking downfield for Roygard. Taken. Wow, that's a tackle and a half from Caleb Clark. Again, round the bootlaces. And New Zealand give away the penalty in the breakdown. This time it was against Cody Taylor. AB's knock-on specialist, says Ricky there. And we have got there, how bad is the wind in your town on the 23rd of October? We didn't actually get as much of the wind as we thought we would. In fact, it kind of dodged us a little bit, which was quite nice, but a lot of wind around and also heavy rain. And Uruguay take the lead. Says I am nutty there in their game up against Portugal. That one's going to be relatively close at half-time. Now, line-out throw here for Scotland. They are inside of New Zealand's 22. Nick Berry was decent in heartbeat, though, says Eric J. Now, Ewan Ashman needs this one to be straight. We've got to remember, New Zealand are still playing with a man disadvantage at the moment. So Scotland have to make the most of that. Now, looping around, Gregor Brun going into the hands of Sione Tuipulotu, a man who we just haven't really seen enough of throughout this half as of yet. Ben White, back to the left-hand side, little pop pass on the inside. Wow, Quintapai gets sat down by the Scottish attack. Now a few metres out from the try line. 5 metres separating Scotland from their first try. Josh Lord with a big collision in the breakdown. No penalty advantage going against New Zealanders as of yet. Quintapai wanting the steal. He's left his feet, so does manage to get out of it. Now around the side, Jack Dempsey thought about going himself, and in fact he does now. Tackled by Josh Lord. 3 metres out from the line for Scotland. They have been held up twice throughout this match already. Gilchrist, 2 metres out. They have now got the penalty advantage. Popping it up, Finn Russell went for the pass, couldn't quite get his hands on the ball, so they will go back for another penalty. Okay, there's one in the middle of the park for Scotland, or one out on the wing. And New Zealand want that decision, or that delicious blue and white donut. Says Big Rig, this is concerned though. Caleb Clark. Looks like he has hurt himself at the moment. That is not good news, as he has recently came back. Do you use Kleenex or toilet roll, Amish? Says John. So these, I think they're sorbent tissues. The ones that I've got at the moment, not a sponsor. Not yet anyway. If we keep on getting colds, we're going to need a tissue sponsor. Right. The intent is there for the Scottish. They are going to kick this one for the corner. Scotland is going to win, says Fazlin there. See you guys later. I have to do my spiritual preparation for tomorrow morning's divine service. That's my regular Saturday routine. See you later, says Desmond. So we will see you later on. 5 metres out from the line now. Ewan Ashman throwing it in, nicely taken by Grant Gilchrist. That looked like an early engagement from New Zealand, so they do get the penalty advantage. Now Scotland, the home side. Ben White fires it across. Sione Tuipulotu. Cross kick here from Finn Russell. Awkward bouncing ball cleaned up by Jordan. They'll go back for another penalty. Please keep updating on the other game, says Bo King. So while we wait for Scotland to get ready to take another penalty, Namibia versus Belgium at halftime is 17 points to 3 in favour of the Belgium side. We also see at the moment Romania leading over Canada 24-7 and Uruguay lead over Portugal 13-8. And we have got there, please. I'll put the time back on. Oh, sorry. There we go. 45 minutes through at the moment. Hamish, were you playing cricket? I did end up playing cricket earlier on. I wasn't going to because I was sick. Oh, yeah, no, Caleb Clark's actually concussed himself, I believe, there. But, yeah, I wasn't going to be playing, but then they were short, so it was one of those ones I wasn't going to leave them short for the match. Now, rolling maul here for Scotland. Again, just a couple metres out from the try line. I believe after that head knock, Caleb Clark probably had to make his way off the field. Another penalty advantage here for Scotland. They're over the line and they score the try. It's a pile of men at the moment. I believe it's Ewan Ashman who's popped up with it. And Ewan Ashman, that is a crucial time to score. We will update not just the scoreboard, but also the try scorers down the bottom. It is no longer NA. It is now, a yellow card to Ardie Savia too. In the scenario, and Scotland now picking up some momentum, but Savia, it's not often you see that man going to the bin. And so it begins, says Kyle there. And also we have got the yes, well done, and how bad were the Irish last week versus New Zealand? They certainly didn't find their best rhythm. Scotland need a comeback try now, says Stephanie. And also we have got there, can Scotland get a meat pie? They certainly did, and Ewan Ashman, the man who managed to score it. Now, Finn Russell, this is a crucial kick here. I warned you, you were just making us angry. That one's gone over from Russell. Makes the score now 17 points to 7. And the All Blacks will run right in the second half by at least 30, says John Mills. And 13 points to 5 to Ireland A versus Spain. And also we got 4 World Cups, says Brett. And Belgium versus Zimbabwe will be a wild World Cup final. Certainly would be. Even if it takes place in a group stage match, it would be fantastic for both sides to be through to that World Cup. I'm a Box supporter, Jimmy. But who doesn't love a comeback? Says Stephanie now inside of the 22. Ben White kicks it back down the park. Nicely taken by Damian McKenzie. He's on the field due to the injury of Caleb Clark and already making metres. Number 23 jersey, bit of a loose ball there. Cleaned up by Cam Roigard under pressure from White. 3 Scottish players jumping in there, and they've managed to get the steal. Fagerson goes across, and a kick him behind from Ben White, playing a bit of territory. Awkward bouncing ball, Darcy Graham. It's come off his shins. Referee calls it as a knock on. Now close to the sideline, he's wrestled into touch. I don't know if Graham got a hand to that. Momentum shift, says DG there. And we have got the, I like a bit of haggis right now. If you haven't had it, don't let the look of it out you or put you off, says JB. One moment. I'll quickly sneeze again. And they've just said there that Fine Anuku not making the best decision on attack for the Kiwis. And we have got there, what the hell did Ardie do? I think he dragged it down just short of the line or something along those lines, or got into the breakdown illegally. Is Carter back or off? He is back on. Leroy Carter. And what time South Africa time as the Springboks France game tonight? So it will be 10 p.m. for you guys in South Africa. So quite a late night fixture taking place there. But now ready to feed this ball in. Cam Roigard, currently 7 minutes remaining on that Ardie Savia yellow card. And it's a big push, but Scotland get themselves the penalty. Faina Anuku was clapping. He was a part of that scrum. He was celebrating till he realised it's the opposition who got themselves the penalty. Hamish, I'm hungry. And anything you want to say to my aunt? I guess hello to your aunt. Why was Ardie Savia yellow card? I think it was repeat infringements from New Zealand just out from their goal line. Go the mighty All Blacks. Hope your cold gets better soon, says Kiwi Cindy. I hope so too. I know that we've got that live stream tomorrow night between Argentina and Wales, as well as the rugby league game happening later on too. So, you know, if for one of those two my nose sorts itself out, I would be pretty happy. But now ready to throw it in. It seems whichever side has South Africa forwards can win scrum penalties, says Yanko. Now Ewan Ashman, the important throw here again. 50 minutes through the contest. Scotland down by 10. How we played with 10 players before, says Joss. Already New Zealand, they have had 2 yellow cards in this contest. Rolling Moles still shaping up. Ben White going across to the left-hand side. Sione Tuipulotu, that is a great step from him as he moves just a couple metres out from the New Zealand line. Ben White goes across to Jack Dempsey. He will be 1 metre short. It's a brilliant chance for the Scots here. Finn Russell, skip pass. Kinghorn passes wide, and it's the try for Kyle Steyn as Scotland well and truly get back into this game. They are not down, they are not out, and they are not given up in this match, that is for sure. But Kyle Steyn scoring it in the 50th minute of the contest. So far throughout the second half, it is 12-0 in favour of Scotland. We have got there well back to the grind, and here we go, says John there. And I know, says Isaac there, and Vix's Magic Amish. And when you watch Box vs France today, we will be doing the commentary on the channel alongside Fiji versus England. A nice backline movement here for Scotland. And holy cow, the AB says Sana there. Like they have said, the game is fully on at Murrayfield now. 10 minutes, Scotland dominance, big minutes. Says Studs Rays, yeah, obviously whatever was said to them at halftime certainly worked. Finn Russell gets that kick over as well, making the score now 14 points to 7 between these two sides. A 3-point contest at the moment. Scottish strong. I said don't be surprised if they beat New Zealand today. And D-Mac, ABs need to calm down. See his socks there. And seriously, New Zealand to bring in Jamie Joseph now. Razor his way out of his depth. Says Cameron Kay, an important conversion gone through too. Says Yanko, yeah, Finn Russell. As injured as he is not given up in this contest. He does not want to go off the field. And I think you can understand why with what is happening here. One's going to be kicked off now. Nicely taken by Scotland. Update the score, mate. I know you're raging, says Jimmy. The scoreboard has updated, Jimmy. We have got there. Do you know if anyone from Waimate went to the Gold Coast 500? I met someone from Hastings there. Not that I know of for Waimos. Who's the ref? Hamish, South African. It is Nick Berry in charge of this contest. The group has been taken off the field. That is forward to Mighty Williams. Knocked back into the hands of Jack Dempsey. And again, Scotland in a very good attacking position. Ben White going across to the right-hand side. Nice step from Finn Russell, but a crucial tackle made by Peter Lakai. They are making the most of this man advantage at the moment. Scotland, they are continuing to find gaps in the New Zealand defence. Josh Lord having a roll out of there. A big charge forward from Gregor Brun. Cross to the right again. Finn Russell. Step coming there. Kinghorn. He's breaking on the outside. Tackled by Leroy Carter. Gets it back on the inside to Steyn. Abies have gone to sleep, says Clayton, and they certainly have chosen a bad time to do it when they're down a man. Of course, the Scottish are going to be that little bit more aggressive anyway. Now going off to the right. In fact, no, wide cut out pass. Left Ewan Ashman. He's going to show off his pace. Good tackle made by Damien McKenzie. But again, 10 metres out from the line here. Scotland in possession. The advantage is now over. But 5 metres out from the line. The crowd are just coming alive at the moment. Ewan Ashman carrying forward again. 8 metres out from the try line. Pass back across for Gregor Brown. And now Ben White, pick and go, reaches out, no, doesn't decide to do it. I think he could have got there, but he decides instead to recycle it. Give it to the forwards. That's a crunching tackle on Jack Dempsey. I think Josh Lord may have hurt himself in the process there. Pierce Scorman turned to his back and he's knocked the ball on. New Zealand survive. And it will be a 5 metre scrum now for the Kiwis. 2 yellow cards, says Jenna there. We have got there, they're going for the corner, says David the Mod. And there as well, New Zealand says Valerie there. And Scotland firing, they certainly are. Throughout the second half, they have come out like a whole different side than what we saw in the first. And underestimate Scotland at your peril. Yeah, my score prediction's still looking good at the moment. I did go 32-25 is the end score. Now we're fired up, boys, says John. Don't worry, there will be a penalty. They miss, says Mr. Tuber Dude. And the pressure is building. And D up yo, says Johnny Blaze there as well. Yeah, there's some real intensity at the moment coming from the Scottish fullback. They are yelling at someone on the sideline. It looks like now the change. Basilio Tossi making his way onto the field. He's got a new haircut. Well, want to play like he did last week. We got this, says Blinders. Scoobin, no. And yeah, Miller Mills, he makes his way onto the field here for the Scottish. And Scotland are good at doing that second half comeback, says Track Ready. And also, what did the All Blacks do at halftime, says DG. And also, where was the advantage ref? I was playing advantage. He did play advantage, and they made about, I think it was 35, 40 metres. So then the advantage was over. This is the game that breaks the streak, says Thomas there. We have a full kilted box in the team. Says Jimmy, one moment, I'm about to sneeze, so we all quickly mute again before we get to see the scrum for New Zealand. Big switch happening for Scotland here. Jamie Dobie making his way onto the field. That is going to be for Ben White. That seems like quite an early switch, but obviously wanting to give Dobie some decent game time. We're seeing Miller Mills come on. Sutherland's on too. And also George Turner, so an all-new front row here for Scotland, so making at least 4 changes at once here. And Holland is Dutch, probably the only person from the Netherlands who's got to this level of rugby. I might be wrong, says JB. But now Cam Roygaard, 5 metres out from their own line here, New Zealand. They have got themselves the scrum feed. Currently Uruguay leading by 10 points up against the Portuguese. And then also the other game taking place 17 points to 3 still for Belgium over Namibia. That one's going to be kicked into touch by New Zealand, about 15 metres out from the line now. And Dave Cherry supporting in spirit. I feel sorry for the USA against Scotland. That was brutal. And excellent sneeze control. Mine attack from nowhere, says Studs Race. And easy win for the Springboks, says Martin. And there too. And TMO will keep all Black players in the bin, says Jenna. Yeah, Savia's still going to be off the field for another 25 minutes. But at the end of the day, if Leroy Carter didn't want to go to the bin, he shouldn't have foot tripped someone. And that's a very easy way of avoiding getting sent off the field, is to just not do cynical infringement. Now throwing the ball in. It's going to be overthrown though. Cody Taylor claiming it for New Zealand, but 2 men in there for Scotland, and another clean turnover in the breakdown. And now Bowden Barrett has to make a rush defence tackle on Jack Dempsey, popping it back across to the right-hand side. Space for Scotland in the wide channel. Blair Kinghorn flicks it on the outside. Darcy Graham gets through Mackenzie's tackle. Attempting gets through everyone. And Graham may have just scored that one in the corner. He maybe knocked it on though. I think they'll have to check that. But Darcy Graham, he got through Mackenzie. He got through Will Jordan. Okay, they are just checking to see this one, whether or not there was the knock-on. Hope your throat holds out after the next games. I actually think my throat's going to be fine. It's just my nose that's causing me problems at the moment. We're going to see it now. Knocked it on. Darcy Graham, Cam Ruigard got across. And that is brilliant defence there. Save the try, because that could have been a brutal one, and that would have given Scotland the lead in this contest. Timo is complete rubbish, says Jenna. Is Artie out for the rest of the match? He is not. He is back out on the field now for New Zealand, so they are back to 15 on 15 here. But you can see the frustration on the face of Darcy Graham. He knows that that was the opportunity to be able to change this momentum completely. You got hay fever again, the Kiwi lads. This time it's not actually hay fever, it's just that I've got a cold. Unfortunately, I actually preferred the hay fever, as it wasn't quite as brutal. Now, great steal from Peter Larkai. And the breakdown gets another steal. Maybe New Zealand do need the other Barretts, says Stephanie. And on your Cameron, excellent D. And Scotland playing so good, says Bridget. Yeah, this one very close at the moment. Just the 3 points separating these two sides as we head towards that final quarter of the fixture. Now, another game just around the corner. We are going to get to see England versus Fiji. That game's being covered on the channel too. Alongside that, we are doing France and their matchup up against the Springboks. So we're getting close to those two matches. That Springboks-France match kicking off in less than 3.5 hours' time, or roughly 3.5, I should say. Are we back to 15-15? We are indeed, yes. Now, stolen, broken. The line here, Jack Dempsey. It's going to be a foot race. He's caught by Will Jordan. He had the breakaway chance. And Jordan trying to get the steal. There's going to be an advantage, though, for a knock-on against the Kiwis. Jamie Dobie going across to the right. Finn Russell tries the cross kick. Finds Darcy Graham, who this time is tackled by Damian McKenzie. But Scotland are not giving up here, ladies and gents. Now back across to the left-hand side. I mean, another tackle made by Scott Cummings. Now popping it up, that's going to be Sutherland. Moving it on, great hands there. Offloaded up to Sione Tuipulotu. New Zealand, their defence is getting fully tested. Taukiaho trying to get that steal. Ruigard, big shot on him. Now Dobie, Pearson through, tackled by Lakai and Tossi. The pair of Hurricanes. Now Miller Mills, another knock on. And it's picked up by Pasilio Tossi, who breaks the line. That's something you don't expect to see from 140 plus kg tight head prop. Kick downfield from Ruigard. Finds some space, but they'll go back. Scottish penalty again here. And that is going to be for New Zealand being ahead of the kicker. They're starting to add up a few too many penalties against them here. And possible that French win. Says Martin. But what a steal that is from Jack Dempsey, rushing up off the Ruigard pass. And what's the penalty count? I think we're at halftime. It was 4-3, I think it was. But now I'd say we're probably about maybe 8-6, somewhere around there. The All Blacks beat Australia, says Jacalope. Or Jackalope, I think that actually is. And we have got there zero-sum game, says DG. But now Finn Russell, he has the opportunity to add the extra 3 points. And this would make it 17 each for these two sides. No draw, kissing my sister, says Porter. And now, Finn Russell gets it over. We are back to 17 unanswered points throughout the second half with Scotland, whereas New Zealand, they have not got any points since that first half. The last minute one from Will Jordan. And yes, Finn says, Yanko there, the All Blacks need to tighten up the small stuff. We may just drop the ball, says Blind. And I says Papa Nasty there. Derry, he has made his way onto the field for Josh Lord, I should say, rather than Josh Lawn. Jack Dempsey, short side. Oh, that's a deliberate knockdown from Wallace Satiti. This will be more than likely a yellow card for Satiti. They're saying he had a genuine attempt. But they're going to check this one. What is even happening? It's just been a complete momentum shift here for Scotland. Lesson learned, don't trip Scotland, says Stephanie. It's not the first time we have seen New Zealand get 3 yellow cards in a match. We saw them do that up against Argentina for the first round of the Rugby Championship. Now the thing is, yes, you could argue he's tried to tap it back to himself, but that's a knock-on. It's deliberate, and it's going to be more than likely a yellow card. Now, they did have cover defence in this scenario. They just want to check the wide angle to see if anyone else, they had about 2 or 3 players back there for the Kiwis, so I don't think it's going to be any sort of serious infringement, but it's probably going to be a yellow card anyway for Wallace Satiti here. How long has Artie got off? He has been back on the field for about 6 or so minutes. Okay, Nick Berry, by the sounds of it, wasn't on yellow card, but both of his assistant referees were. So they're checking it again here to see the wide angle. Now, they did have Will Jordan back covering at fullback. They had Cam Roigard shuffling across. Okay, prevents a line break opportunity, so it's a yellow card for Wallace Satiti, and New Zealand are back to 14. Leroy Carter and Satiti both done, man. This is crazy. Maybe he's deserved to lose now. Let's go Scotland, says Johnny Blaze there. And Canada scores, says Bo Kang. One moment, we'll go like this. At the moment, Canada's game, at the moment, they are 31-14 down. Romania are winning the second half, 19 points to 17, with 5 minutes remaining. Not straight, says Alumi there. Now ready to throw it in again here. This is going to be the replacement 16, George Turner. That's thrown in, nicely taken by Scotland. Is Duplessis Karifi on? Not yet. But I'm not too sure who they'll actually put him on for at this stage. I take my words back. Let's go, boys, says Roikus there. Now it's going to be kicked high. Scotland going up for it. That is maybe a knock-on from New Zealand. It is ruled as backwards, though. The Kiwis are in real trouble now. Well, they've lost all momentum in this scenario. So I think they now realise how much of a dangerous situation they are in. That one more big moment could be the difference. Generally, how can it be yellow in your own 22? Says Tom there. Yeah, so they've called it as deliberately stopping a line break opportunity, which is why it was ruled as a yellow rather than just as a deliberate knockdown penalty. Discipline's terrible. But £50 on Scotland and Fiji to win today, says CJ. That would be paying quite a bit. I feel like that would be like probably $30 multiplied by 50, wouldn't it? Now throwing it in. Scotland in possession again. Dobie going away to the right-hand side. Sione Tuipoloto almost losing his footing before he is tackled by Artie Savia. Now popping it back across. Big wide cutout pass. Going to Gregor Brown. This is a terrible time to need to sneeze in 1 second. We'll quickly mute. There we go. Unprofessional, says William. Is that me or is in like New Zealand with the amount of yellows that they've given away? I get if you're in the All Blacks half, but you're on your own 22, says Tom there. Now still moving forward for Scotland. Dave Cherry made all this happen, says Thomas. Yeah, even though he is not playing, but he's there in spirit, isn't he? Dave Cherry, this one's going to be kicked high. Up and under chance, slapped back by Will Jordan, knocked on by Jack Dempsey, picked up by Will Jordan. And now, still just out from their own line here, New Zealand. Is Damien on the field? He is. He's been on the field for the past about 20 minutes or so, ever since that head knock of Caleb Clark. And New Zealand, what are you doing, says Jared there. Oh, and they will go back for the initial knock-on from Jack Dempsey, which gives New Zealand the scrum feet about 15 metres out from their try line. And yellow cards. Too big, and damn, you're seeing? You look down on the weather, mate, get well soon, says Nelson. Yeah, I'm quite sick at the moment, unfortunately. I've got myself a cold, which is the worst possible time to get it when there are so many matches of international rugby taking place over the weekend. Yellow card for Kiwi lads, too many sneezes, and play deliberate. Mute, unprofessional, says cited there. And the modern game is all cards and penalties, says what? As the TMO and Berry's here. He was there for that decision for the yellow card. Leroy Carter has been declared an honorary Scotsman. Says Sonny. I think Wallace might not come back on. Right, so Caleb Clark has failed his HIA, which means he will not be playing in the match next week up against England, which will bring the opportunity for either Rico Ioane or Sevu Reece or Lester Whaiananuku to be out on that wing. What would a draw mean for New Zealand? It would mean that they've probably survived in this case, because they are looking like the worst side in the second half. Deliberate sneeze mute, says Dwight or Jart there. And Jordan is legless under the high ball. You can sneeze all you have to. I'm still tuning into your channel watching from South Africa, says MTN. Yeah, we wouldn't normally be sneezing this much, of course, but yeah, terrible timing for a cold, that is for sure. Now, ready to put this one up. Cam Roygaard does get this ball into touch. Guys, just back from the future. And well done, Scotland, for breathing the All Blacks. I assume that's beating. And it could be a total implosion by the ABs here. Currently, in the second half, they conceded 17 unanswered points. So Jack Dempsey, he will make his way off. That is going to be for Bayliss. We see Billy Proctor. He has made his way on. That looks like for Quinn Tupaia. And hoping you get better, mate. Oh, no, sorry. That is actually for Leroy Carter rather than Quinn Tupaia. Did you get the missus to do the commentary, mate? Maybe we might play better. I do need to find a misses first to be able to do that. One moment. We're going to have to quickly mute again. We are good. The left nostril is behaving. It's just the right one that doesn't want to play the ball game. Oh, that was hesitation there. It looked like a balk, as they call it, but it is going to be play on now for Scotland. Mr. Whaiananuku trying to make the tackle on Kinghorn. I mentioned earlier about the changes. Hamish, you said due to injuries, but you think Razor could have put some experienced chaps. Yeah, they are. Like, that's the thing. Heading into this game, like, the selection wasn't questioned too much. All I'll say is I went with a very different looking New Zealand side, and who knows how they would have gone. Probably worse than this team, to be fair, but it's always very hard to judge how they would have gone. Literally kills us every time. Says Dom, that one's going back, and it's a knock-on from Scotland again. That is one thing saving New Zealand at the moment, is the fact that there are mistakes coming, although Scotland, of course, will still feel very confident with what they've been able to do throughout the second half. Bowden Barrett dead leg. Yeah, they do not want to lose a third Barrett in this scenario. They have already lost they've already lost Scott last week. Geordie for the whole tour as well. Eyes on the ball there for Bowden Barrett. Hot chicken soup and a whiskey, Hamish. Says Darren there. And even if we win, it's a loss. Yeah, it certainly hasn't been the best performance from New Zealand in the second half. They have been far from where they'd like to be. Hamish, stick toilet paper up your nose. It will get more views and stop the running. It's tempting because it just wants to keep on running as often as we're talking. But yeah, I don't know whether or not that would be a great look. And get better soon, Hamish. You're still the best of commentary. Thank you. Says Brett. The most horse game ever. Menthol crystals are good for boiling water in a bowl and stick a towel over your head. Says Jimmy. Yeah, I might have to try it after that Springboks France game. We've got games relatively back-to-back. A bit of a gap here between Fiji versus England and the end of this one. You need Vix, Hamish. I've already got plenty of it on the chest. But I'm going to be getting more in between the streams. Larkai over Savia. Says Alami there. Now rolling this one back, Cam Roygan. I'm thinking the chances of Ratama getting any sort of significant minutes in this game is very unlikely. Whaiananuku chasing after that one. Bowden Barrett, though, kicking it into touch. Means that Scotland have got themselves another line-out chance. And come on, Artie, find and kick as much three-pointer opportunities. And also Bowden best off the bench. Jim and Dylan mids. They would break the line easy. Says Inky there. And also cold and flu are in your gut. Flush out with vitamin C. So I had 2 oranges yesterday. I might try having another one in between the streams too if I have got enough time. Now line out chance here again for Scotland. George Turner. Ready to throw the ball in. Stolen at line out time by Fabian Holland. Lester Whaiananuku. Going away to the right hand side. Savia. Not quite able to bust his way through Bayliss's tackle. Now Pasilio Tossi. Already had a couple elusive runs from the big man since making his way off the bench. Whaiananuku well tackled by Hutchinson. 45 metres from the line. New Zealand, they need a try and they need one soon. Clean the bench. Says Mone. Yeah, they're not a mile away from having every change made, with the exception of Cortez Ratama. And then also Duplessis Karefi. Passed out wide. Jordan finds it to Fabian Holland, who finds himself out on the wing. Not something we see too often. Now big collision with Quintupai around the halfway line. Scotland have been lethal in the breakdowns in terms of trying to get those steals. Now Royart across to Bowden Barrett, and behind goes to, I believe that would have been Damien McKenzie, looking for the 50-22, and he's got it. What a brilliant kick that is from Damien McKenzie, with blood coming out of his mouth and some headgear or some strapping around his forehead. He's pulled off a massive one right there. I've got there, you can do that with Vicks as well. Drop a bit in a bowl of warm water, put a towel over your head. Says Sidon, broke comment on the game. Says Manu Cust. And there, that was a couple minutes ago. I assume that was when we had a stoppage, more than likely. Now ready to throw this ball in. It is Samasoni Tolkiaho. Just out from the line, about maybe 5 metres now for New Zealand. And this could be the rolling ball opportunity that they have been after for a very long time. They haven't had any momentum throughout the second half, but this could be a game-changing moment here for the AB. Samasoni Taukiaho with the ball positioned at the back of them all. Been told to use it once. Cam Roygaard looking to use this one off to the left-hand side. Goes to Quinn to buy a rush. Defence from Scotland was a little bit too quick. Finn Russell getting himself penalised. Now Jordan with another pick and go. It seems like New Zealand are using a lot of the smaller players as their pick and go guys for today. This is an interesting choice. Definitely up against a physical defence like Scotland. Big run from to Mighty Williams. Crossed the try line last week. Can't quite do it again. Now Damian McKenzie tries to step wrestle down in a brilliant tackle by Darcy Graham. They'll go back for the penalty again. Don't listen to the haters, mate. Here's some aloe vera for your on your snoz. Says Stephanie. Yeah, it is bright red at the moment. It is certainly going to be stinging later on. Still got another maybe 5 or so hours of commentary as well. And that's just for this morning session. Then we've got 2 more matches later on. Duplessis Karifi. He is making his way onto the field. This commentary gives the listener no idea what is happening. And we are hopeless could do better. Says David. So yeah, that's where you probably want your radio style commentary as your better option. There are plenty of free options around. But now, Nick Berry. What's happening now? About 8 metres in from the touchline. It looks like New Zealand are still going to be opting for the line-out choice, though. One moment. Got to sneeze again. Tell you what, we're going to have some hate coming in from David for that one. So that is going to be 10 blue offside. That was against Finn Russell, just out from the Scottish goal line. And Scotland, says James, in there too. And again, 5 metres out from the line. It is going to be the line-out opportunity. The huddle is happening for the Kiwis. They need to find a way through. How many minutes left? Still another 8 minutes remaining on the clock. And we need to take those threes in the first half. You can hear the bagpipes already, says Enki in there too. But taken, just by Fabian Holland. It's inches away from being a Scottish steal. 5 metres out from the line. Another penalty advantage going against Scotland here. Savia, he has possession of the ball at the back, thinking about breaking away. He should be pretty close to going over Savia. He falls down just 1 metre short of the goal line. Roygaard searching for this ball. It is available to the left-hand side. They're 5 metres from the touchline. Quintabire in behind. Bowden Barrett one-on-one defence is strong. Passes out wide to Lester Fayanarnook, who needed the directional change. McKenzie going sideways. He somehow finished that. That is incredible. He's taken the knee to the head from his teammate as well, but that is brilliance from Damian McKenzie. I have no idea how he's finished that one off, because it looked like he should have been bundled into touch. They may just check it, but McKenzie, with a clutch moment near the end of this game, he was running it straight sideways towards the far corner, spins out of the channel, or spins out of the challenge, gets rid of Blair Kinghorn, somehow stays in the field of play and puts that ball down for Damian McKenzie. That is one of the best finishes you will see for this year. He's almost broken his leg in the process of trying to spin around. The crowd are booing. Is that to do with an elbow maybe for Damian McKenzie? Now McKenzie here's got a cut down here, a cut up there. He's got a cut up there. It's looking like he's gone through a blender, but he's still playing well for the Kiwis. Oh, he's not kicking well though. That one's missed away to the side by quite some margin there, making the score 22 points to 17 in favour of New Zealand. Come on, Scotland, says Chris, and they are still well and truly close enough for Scotland to be able to mount some sort of comeback here. Let's go down in history as the worst All Blacks performance ever, says Jenna. And we have got the outputs. All of his body on the line, player of the match so far. It's going to be kicked off by Scotland. 5 minutes remaining and they retain the kickoff there, the home side. Dobie, cross to the right. They are 35 metres out from the All Blacks line, just straight out in front of the post. Now, another step coming from Tom Jordan. Great commentary, thanks, man, says David. And there as well, now Skurman with the offload. It looks like he's going to be playing close to the full 80 minutes here. Kyle Stain cutting back inwards, tackled low by Jordan. That was no try, lost control of the ball, says Scott. I think you're just making up things now because you called it double movement for a start. Now you're saying it was that he lost control of the ball. Going off to the right-hand side. I'm surprised you didn't say he was in touch. That was probably the closest out of all the ones that you're coming up with. That could have been an argument, but then he was still in the field of play at the end of the day anyway. Scotland taking it to the All Blacks. Who would have thought, says Steve. That's the thing. I've mentioned about it all throughout the week. The Scotland side cannot be underestimated. I went New Zealand by 7, and that seems like about where we're going to be in this contest. Now, considering the offload choice decides against it, and a bit of a counter-ruck coming from the Kiwis. Ball is still in the hands of Scotland, though. And they have got enough time, and the penalty, though, goes the way of New Zealand. That is Leicester Whaianaruku who pops up with it. And that is one of the most crucial moments for Leicester throughout this whole game. 3 minutes goes, says Casper. Yeah, the clock is ticking down quickly now. In New Zealand, they will be more than happy to use up a few extra seconds. Next will be a knock-on, says Clint D there. And Fiji are better than this shower, says Eric J. Well, we are going to get to see Fiji in action just around the corner. They are going head-to-head up against the English at Twickenham Stadium. We are going to be covering that one on the channel too. So anyone who is new, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. They have got the man of the match contenders, Dempsey, Satiti, Larkai, and McKenzie. Now, I would say that Satiti probably would have been close to man of the match had it not been for his yellow card. That's one that maybe they go in a different direction. But McKenzie, once again, has had some great impact off the bench. I'd also put Josh Lord's name in the hat in terms of the man of the match contenders. And Whaianaruku does steal quite a lot. This game is too close, says Clint D, and we are currently hearing Flowero Scotland being sung around the stands. And all those fans, Scotland, you played as hard. We need tons of work, says Roikus, nicely taken by Fabian Holland. He got himself man of the match in the last contest, so I guess they can't give it to 2 locks in a row. For the All Blacks, but currently 3 minutes remaining. This one rolling forward for Samasoni Tokiaho. About 35 metres out, and that is straight on the side. There's a bad play from Bayliss, and it now gives New Zealand a massive penalty advantage. Worst comes to worst, they can go back for a 3-pointer here, and they will go back for the penalty. Quite annoying. Feels like this is the only game Scotland could have won against them. If it is going to happen, it would be this game, says Cohen. Definitely with how they came out in the second half for the Scottish. They just came out with a hiss and a roar and a lot of intent. And, you know, they thoroughly deserve to be as close in this game as they are. In this case, I tried to avoid the sneeze, but it's coming. 1 second, we'll quickly... Right, New Zealand have been told to go for the posts here. So if McKenzie can get this kick over, that should almost secure the game with 2 minutes remaining. If he misses, Scotland still have a chance. But then a McKenzie kick again. Yeah, well, he's normally relatively accurate, Damien McKenzie. So just because he's missed one doesn't mean he will miss all. Tell you what, he looks like he's dressed for Halloween. The amount of blood that is trickling down the face. Chance for McKenzie. The crowd are loud at the moment, trying to distract him. He smiles at the post, and McKenzie, he strikes it well. It goes over, and New Zealand now lead by 8 with 90 seconds on the clock. That may be the game, and McKenzie has again come in clutch for the Kiwis. Yes, New Zealand got this, he middled it. You're cold, has infected the ABs, says Nelson. And what a kick, says Vic Mars there. That kick has helped New Zealand get that little bit more of a lead. They've also got the possession now. 8 points difference, 60 seconds remaining. D-Mac blood on the field. But you demand again, says Roikus there. Now 40 metres out from their line here, New Zealand. It looks like they're happy enough just to try and close this one out. Not taking any massive risks. Although Scotland, of course, if they were to get themselves a penalty now, they could take the 3 and then be back within 7. Perhaps that is the option that the Scottish would go for. They've got 40 seconds to try and win a penalty, and then they have to take it pretty much straight away. There might be half a chance that if they were to win the penalty about now, they might even consider maybe even a drop kick. Try and use that one quick enough. Currently 25, that's another penalty though. New Zealand get it here. And now 20 seconds left. That should just about finish off this game. I slipped away from Scotland, says Burning Lash. Yeah, there will be that disappointment for the Scots here. After what they were able to do in the second half, 17 points unanswered up against New Zealand. They fired back brilliantly. But in the end, New Zealand found a way. Those subs again, saving them off of the bench. I think there's going to be a lot of questions about what to do with the starting lineup, though. But that ball is tapped and kicked into touch. New Zealand win this game at Murrayfield, 25 points to 18 over a valiant Scottish side that got much closer than some gave them credit for. Mackenzie getting a huge amount of credit from his teammates, though, with what he was able to do when he made his way on, scored the try, got the points, and saved the game for the Kiwis. We took the game to you. I reckon the ABs were very lucky. I think the New Zealanders will certainly feel that as well. It is one of those games that, yes, they started well, the Kiwis, but that second half was at times abysmal. And Scotland were more than up for the challenge in this one as well. And Scotland was surprised to win the ABs, or was supposed to win the ABs in 2022, and didn't. I'm not surprised. Well done, the ABs, says Stephanie there. And Relief Not Belief says GG, and cheers, mate. Thanks for the commentary from Barbados, says Cuba T. But nonetheless, we've got 25 minutes, ladies and gents, until that next live stream taking place on the channel. That will be the matchup between Fiji and England, and that one is closely followed by the game between South Africa and France as well. But thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all for the next one.